Chapter 94. It was common for cultivators in the Falling Star continent to be injured. If one wasn't injured and didn't have the experience of being bedridden for half a month, they would be too embarrassed to greet their peers. Therefore, Jun Changxiao's healing pill could instantly heal a heavily injured person. It could only be described as heaven-defying. As the AI clan's patriarch, who had been in the pill business for many years, with his keen sense of smell, he could instantly smell the high value and profit of this pill. Not to mention 10,000, he wouldn't hesitate even if it was 50,000. Jun Changxiao was very depressed, but he couldn't change the price he offered, so he said, "AI family head, this king has refined 10 of these healing pills. Shopkeeper Ma has already taken one, so there are still 9 left. If you want all of them, then I'll give you 100,000 taels." He still had 20 beginner-grade healing pills. If he didn't sell all of them, he could keep some for himself and raise the price next time. As for the 10 healing pills, it was fine if he sold them less. He would just treat it as a test run. AI Shang was on the verge of collapse. If he knew from the start that the healing pill was heaven-defying, he definitely wouldn't have given it to Ma Zheng. After all, it could be sold at a sky-high price. Sure. Patriarch AI said straightforwardly, "My AI clan is willing to pay 100,000 for these 9 pills." Jun Changxiao placed the 9 healing pills on the table and said, "Patriarch AI, do you want to pay with banknotes or medicinal herbs?" AI Shang said, "My AI clan has always done business according to the rules. We won't pay with goods." As he spoke, he took out a thick stack of banknotes from his interspatial ring. It was exactly 100,000. Damn it. Bringing so much money out, isn't the AI clan's patriarch afraid of being robbed? Jun Changxiao didn't take back the banknotes and said, "Patriarch AI, although the healing pill can heal injuries, my alchemy skills are limited. It's only suitable for martial disciples and meridian opening realm cultivators." AI Shang's face changed slightly. He was still thinking of buying the healing pill and increasing the publicity to let the entire Azure Sun County know about it. If it was only suitable for meridian opening realm cultivators and martial disciples, the limitations would be too great. It can heal injuries quickly. Even if it's only suitable for meridian opening realm cultivators and martial disciples, it's still terrifying. AI Shang thought for a moment and said, "Shang Ku, bring the contract." Yes. AI Shanka took out a transaction contract. As expected of a professional business family, they even had to sign and make a mark. Sect Master Jun AI Shang narrowed his eyes and said seriously, "I hope that these 9 pills will have the same effect as the previous one." He was worried that he would be cheated. Jun Changxiao leaned over and said, "Don't worry, Patriarch AI. Since I'm here to sell medicinal pills, I won't cheat." AI Shang also believed that the leader of a sect would not do such a thing. The two of them signed their names and pressed their fingerprints, completing the transaction. Only then did Jun Changxiao unceremoniously store the 100,000 silver notes into his spatial ring. He had spent several hundred taels on the ingredients for the 10 healing pills, and in the end, he had sold them for 100,000 taels. The profit was terrifying. Jun Changxiao began to fantasize. With enough medicinal ingredients, he could refine more healing pills and sell them. Then, he would spend a lot of money to expand the Iron Bone Factory and build it as grand as the Imperial Palace. After the medicinal pill business was settled, the two of them began to chat enthusiastically. More than 2 hours later, AI Shangfang walked into the shop and said, "Family head, the herbs Sect head Jun requested have been prepared." As he spoke, he put down a few spatial rings. AI Shang stretched out his hand and said with a smile, "Sect head Jun, please check the goods." This kind of spatial ring did not need to recognize the owner. Anyone could peek into it. Jun Changxiao entered the rings one by one until he counted the herbs inside. Then, he said, "The quality of the herbs is not bad. Family head AI, please give me a price. Sect head Jun, these herbs are a total of 100 and 500 taels. AI Shang said. AI Shang narrowed his eyes and said, Sect head Jun, just give me a total. Shua. Jun Changshao waved his hand lightly and 10,000 taels of gold piled up like a small mountain in the living room. Although gold was more valuable than silver, silver and banknotes were still the main currency in the falling star continent. Jun Changshao did not use the 100,000 taels of banknotes he just received. He directly paid the gold because he did not want to go to the bank to exchange for other items. TSK, TSK. Family head AI raised his thumb and said, 10,000 taels of gold, Sect head Jun is really generous. As he spoke, he gave AI Shang a look. The other party took out another contract. It was obvious that this medicinal pill business had to be signed and stamped. Very proper, very particular. Jun Changshao signed his name and stamped it. When family head AI also stamped his name, a crisp system notification sounded in his ears, ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, scattering thousands of gold. You have gained 20 contribution points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, scattering thousands of gold. You have gained 50 contribution points. Ding. Sect contribution points, 245500. It can't be, right? Spending gold is also a hidden mission. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, scattering thousands of gold. You have triggered the hidden reward, the right to purchase the aptitude transformation liquid has been transferred to the purchased items section. There is a hidden reward. Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the system store and clicked on the purchased items section. He saw that the originally blank section had an additional aptitude transformation liquid. He clicked on the details and the content was item, aptitude transformation liquid. Effect, can transform one's aptitude and raise it by 1 level. Note, can only be used by middle grade aptitude users. Effectiveness, lifetime. Price, 50 contribution points. Seeing that the effect was for middle-grade aptitude users, Jun Changshao suddenly laughed loudly, scaring the 3 higher-ups of the AI family. What is going on? While the 3 of them were dumbfounded, Jun Changshao cupped his fists and said, Master AI, I will take my leave first. Please. AI Shangyao and the 2 elders hurriedly sent him off. He's out, he's out. Outside the medicine store, the onlookers were very active. They had waited for 4 hours to see how the AI family would deal with the trouble caused by the iron-boned sect master. However, when they saw the AI family master and the 2 elders accompanying Jun Changshao out with a smile, the onlookers' expressions froze. He came to the store to cause trouble, and the owner sent him off with a smile. This is not right. Goodbye, Master AI. Have a safe journey, Sect Master Jun. Under the gaze of the onlookers, Jun Changshao left. Ding. Host has spent 50 contribution points and obtained aptitude transformation liquid X1. It has been transferred to the space ring. Ding. Sect contribution points, 195500. After leaving the city, Jun Changshao bought the aptitude transformation liquid and drank it all. Ding. Host has used aptitude transformation liquid X1. Transforming spiritual root aptitude. Spiritual root aptitude transformation completed. Host has successfully broken through to 7th grade martial disciple. After the middle grade spiritual root was upgraded to a high grade spiritual root, Jun Changshao's cultivation was driven by it and rose to another level. With the upgrade of the spiritual root, he had a higher compatibility with the spiritual qi in the world. When he walked on the road, he could feel the spiritual qi following him like a shadow. At that moment, Jun Changshao finally understood why Li Qingyang, who had a high-grade spiritual root, was called a rare genius. Awesome! What was even more awesome was that when he returned to the sect, he opened the alchemy pavilion. Because the herbs were stored in the space ring, the 4 types of elixirs were all in the state of being able to be refined. Chapter 95. Jun Changshao spent 100,000 taels to buy the materials needed to refine pills. More than 800 sets of beginner healing pills. More than 400 sets of beginner shaping pills and qi gathering pills. More than 200 sets of qi whirling pills. Most of the 100,000 taels were spent on the last 3 types of pills. Healing pills took up a smaller proportion. Refine. Jun Changshao did not return to the sect. He pressed the button to refine beginner healing pills. Ding! Ding! A crisp sound rang out beside his ear, and one pill after another appeared in the space ring like a glass ball. In a short time, more than 800 beginner healing pills were refined. If it were an experienced alchemist, it would take at least a few months to refine even the most common healing pills. Jun Changshao said, "This alchemy pavilion is too powerful." After the sect was upgraded to level 2, he was initially concerned about the various upper limits. In fact, the one that was truly powerful was the alchemy pavilion. Jun Changshao was now looking forward to the smithing pavilion after upgrading the sect to level 3. With the alchemy pavilion as a template, he guessed that the smithing pavilion should also have the function of forging weapons with one button. Pills. Weapons. They were crucial to the martial artists of the falling star continent. If they had both, how could they not be strong? Thinking about it was just thinking. He was still too far away from upgrading the sect to level 3. After all, if the number of people was not enough, he could not trigger the sect mission and it would be difficult to obtain achievement value. Continue refining pills. Jun Changshao was refining pills as he hurried on his way. A beautiful, ding-ding-ding sound rang in his ears. The pills were also constantly gathering in the spatial ring. However, there was a small problem. When refining beginner shaping pills in large quantities, the speed was obviously slower than refining healing pills. The system said, although the alchemy pavilion can refine pills as a whole, if the level of the pills is higher, it will take a longer time. I see. Jun Changshao did not mind. After all, it was not that much slower. Half an hour later, all 400 sets of body shaping pills were out of the furnace. As for refining the 400 sets of qi gathering pills, it took an hour. After refining the 3 types of pills, he started refining the most important one, the qi whirling pills. In the end, he rushed for 2 hours and returned to the iron bone. Only then did he finish refining all 200 points. It's a bit slow, Jun Changshao murmured. There were more than 1,800 pills in total, and with the help of the pill apothecary pavilion, Zhang Xian had traveled all the way from Huyang City to Iron Bone City in less than 4 hours. Yet, that fellow actually had the cheek to complain that it was too slow. Sect leader, the door has been fixed. What do you think? Su Xiaomao pointed at the red-painted door erected on the martial arts field as soon as he entered the sect. It's all right. Jun Changshao asked, where's that guy? He's locked in a cell, Su Xiaomao said. The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. You locked him up with 2 assassins. What if a fight breaks out? Sect master, don't worry. The 3 of them are very honest. Su Xiaomao grinned. Really? Jun Changshao got up and went to the prison. Through the gap between the door and window, he saw Ma Yongning leaning against the wall, hugging a knife and looking at the 2 assassins. The atmosphere was slightly solemn. After a while, Ma Yongning said, you 2 have been staring at me for a long time. Do you want to learn from each other? Gold-ranked assassin, clang. Ma Yongning drew his knife and said in a deep voice, I've been in the martial arts world for many years. What kind of battle have I not seen? Don't think that you can scare me by wearing black. Come on. Let's compete. Gold-ranked assassin and assassin looked at each other and thought, is there something wrong with this fellow's brain? Sect leader, what should we do with them? Su Xiaoma asked. Jun Changxiao turned around and said, lock Ma Yongning up for a few days and release him. As for the two assassins, keep them locked up. Yes. Jun Changxiao went to the training room and trained there for 4 hours. Then, he took a shower and returned to his residence. People from the AI family. Sitting in the study, he murmured, they should start planning how to advertise the beginner healing pill. Yes. AI Shang and the senior members of the AI family were discussing how to sell the few healing pills and maximize their profits. Phew. Jun Changxiao rested his head on his hands and said, I forgot to tell them not to tell outsiders that I refined the pills. AI Shang was a shrewd businessman. Without his permission, he would never reveal the pills to others. After all, he was afraid that his peers would cut him off. Tomorrow, call the disciples over and distribute the pills to them. Let them have one each. Jun Changxiao had spent so much money to refine so many pills. He wanted his disciples to become stronger. Otherwise, how could they become the strongest sect in 100 years? He stayed in the study for a while. Then, he returned to his bedroom and sat cross-legged on the bed. He started to operate the I Jin Jing and began to absorb the spiritual power of heaven and earth. He had a high-grade spiritual root. His absorption and refinement of spiritual power was much faster. The benefit of this was that his Dantian's chi vortex could gather energy at a faster rate. At this time, even if he didn't rely on the system's upgrade function, his progress wouldn't be slower than Li Qingyang's. After several transformations of his spiritual root, Master Jun could be considered to have broken away from his mortal roots. He had gloriously become a genius. This was just the beginning. Jun Changxiao's goal was a divine spiritual root. After cultivating for 2 hours, it was already late at night. Jun Changxiao opened the attribute panel and clicked on the beginner's shop. Rows of products appeared. After browsing through them, he didn't find anything useful. He decisively refreshed. Ding! Sect achievement value, 185500. There were many new products. When Jun Changxiao looked through them one by one, he suddenly stood up with a whoosh. His eyes were filled with excitement. On the second last row, the last item was a modified QBU-88 sniper rifle. Gun. Sniper rifle. A domestically produced sniper rifle. Jun Changxiao was extremely excited. He said in disbelief, I got a sniper rifle. I got a sniper rifle. Ah ha ha. Ah ha 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 ha. The laughter broke the silence of the night. The disciples who were sleeping soundly woke up. They were puzzled and asked, where did that goose cry come from? The system couldn't help but ridicule, it only has a 0.1% chance. The host's luck is dog shit. He was bored and directly got a sniper rifle. His luck was indeed heaven-defying. Jun Changxiao calmed down. He didn't bother with the system. Instead, he excitedly opened the detailed introduction. Item, modified QBU-88 sniper rifle. Introduction, the original sniper rifle of the Chinese army. After modification, it is suitable for the world of martial arts. The bullets are condensed from crystal nuclei. It can shoot accurately from a long distance. Effect, fast firing rate, long range, strong penetrating power. Duration, permanent. Weakness, although it has been modified, the bullet capacity is only 10 rounds. Also, the recoil is large. It needs to be supported on the ground to shoot. Otherwise, use with caution. Price, 100 contribution points. After seeing the price, Jun Changxiao stared and said, a modified sniper rifle is actually comparable to 2 bottles of quality modification liquid. The system said, the host doesn't have to buy it. If I don't buy it, my head will be kicked by a donkey. Jun Changxiao said. He had already clicked on the purchase button. Ding! The host has spent 100 contribution points. You have obtained a modified QBU-88 Sniper Rifle X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 85,500. Before the notification ended, Jun Changshao had already taken out the QBU-88 Sniper Rifle. The rifle was nearly 1 meter long. It was very heavy and very heavy. What was even more impressive was that the body of the rifle was painted in green camouflage. Schwa! With a thought, he took out the modified 8x scope and stuck it in the aiming slot. Jun Changshao raised his left hand and held it with his right hand. He closed his left eye and leaned his right eye against the lens. A man should play with a sniper rifle. Chapter 96. The moment he raised the Type 88 sniper rifle, Jun Changshao felt that he could kill gods and immortals. The system poured cold water on him. Although the sniper rifle is powerful, without the high-level crystal core to condense bullets, its power is about the same as the Desert Eagle. How about using the Earth-Fire Wolf King's crystal core to make bullets? Jun Changshao asked. The system was silent for a while, then said, "It's okay." Jun Changshao and the gun entered the space ring, took out the Earth-Fire Wolf King's crystal core, and loaded it with bullets like the Desert Eagle. Ding! 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 After a while, the Type 88 sniper rifle's magazine was lined with 10 bullet-shaped lights, indicating that all the bullets were loaded. As for the Earth-Fire Wolf King's crystal core, it was all used up. Damn! Jun Changshao was shocked, so much energy. One Earth-Fire Wolf King's crystal core, the Desert Eagle can continuously supply 14 bullets. The system said, the sniper rifle is powerful, so naturally it requires more energy to condense the bullets. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. If I fire a shot, won't the recoil be as high as the sky? So. The system said seriously, without a strong body, it's best to use the bipod to support the shot. Ka. Jun Changshao opened the bipod and placed it on the window, then leaned against the lens and aimed at the night sky. Ding! Sniper rifle is loaded with bullets. Ding! Do you want to activate the 8x scope enhancement mode? Hearing the system's notification, Jun Changshao secretly said, "What the hell is this enhancement mode?" Although he did not understand, he still shouted in his heart, "Activate!" Ding! The host has successfully activated the 8x scope enhancement mode, consuming 5 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 80500. Damn you! Jun Changshao scolded, deducting contribution points, do you have to be so deceitful? N. Suddenly, he felt the 8x scope tremble slightly. He hurriedly looked at it, and the expression on his face froze. In the scope's field of vision, he could clearly see the wild rabbits looking for food a few hundred meters away from the sect. Damn it! Jun Changshao said in disbelief, this is X-ray vision. Schwa! He moved the sniper rifle and aimed in another direction. As long as he could see all the animals that appeared at night clearly. Jun Changshao could not hide his excitement as he said, I am now Buddha-Lulai. Schwa! He shifted his position again and aimed at the male disciple's room. He could clearly see Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others in the room. Some of them were cultivating, while others were sleeping. Jun Changshao raised his gun and aimed at the female disciple's room. Just as he was about to move, he suppressed this thought and said in all seriousness, Jun Changshao, you are the leader of a sect. How can you do such a despicable thing as peeping at a female disciple? Yes. Just a quick glance. He still aimed his gun at the female disciple's room, but his gaze suddenly turned cold. Because when he moved, he discovered that there were 3 men in black hiding behind a rock a few hundred meters away from the sect. Assassin! Motherfucker, why are they here again? Just as the 8X scope locked onto the men in black, a soft voice sounded in his ear, Old 8 must be trapped in Iron Bone. We must find a way to save him. This little ninth-rate sect, could it be a dragon's lair or a tiger's den? After the 4 assassins of my drizzle building went in, they never came out again. In an instant, Jun Changshao determined that he had eavesdropped on their conversation. His mouth twitched, X-ray vision, eavesdropping, as expected of the enhanced mode. This Iron Bone is a bit strange. Let's first observe in the dark before we make a move. Friend, don't be in the dark. Your existence, even your whispers, can't be hidden under the 8X scope. The leader only gave us 3 days. Now there is only 1 day left. If we don't kill the leader of Iron Bone and save Old 8, it will be hard to report back. Kill me. Jun Changxiao's gaze became colder. He had already guessed that the assassins who came to kill him earlier were hired by Spirit Spring Sect. This time, the assassins came again because of drizzle building. Taking someone's money to get rid of a disaster for them is understandable. Jun Changxiao said coldly, but you came to provoke me without an employer. Drizzle building, you are courting death. Since he dared to destroy Spirit Spring Sect, he naturally dared to destroy an assassin organization. Whoosh! Jun Changxiao set up his sniper rifle and walked out of the room. He jumped onto the roof of the disciples' room and crawled down. He opened the mount and aimed the muzzle at the stone. Whoosh! In the 8X scope, the crosshair automatically locked onto the head of a man in black. As expected of the magically modified 8X scope. It had X-ray vision, eavesdropping, and self-aiming. It was simply too powerful. Crack! The bullet was loaded, and the safety was pulled. Jun Changxiao only needed to pull the trigger and shoot, and he would definitely hit the assassin he had locked onto, and he would be able to make a headshot. Yi Xingqian, who was cultivating, felt a bit of dust fall from the roof, but he did not think much of it. He continued to circulate Tendon changing classic and gathered his spirit energy to attack his second meridian. After midnight, we will quietly sneak in. The man in black said in a low voice as he poked his head out from the edge of the stone. He did not know that there was a sniper hiding on the roof of the sect, and the muzzle was locked onto his head. Assassins were mainly assassins. Snipers were also mainly assassins. Their professions were similar, and they were like ghosts. At this moment, sect leader Jun was holding his sniper rifle, and it was a battle between 2 ghost professions. But, this guy cheated by using his X-ray vision. In front of him, the assassin had nowhere to hide. I have already scouted from above. Jun Changxiao lives in an independent courtyard. When we rush in, kill him as quickly as possible. We cannot alert the Iron Bone disciples. Don't worry, 4th brother. We will definitely do it cleanly. Humph, Jun Changxiao will not escape this time. The 2 men in black sneered. Ding! Side quest triggered. Opening the data panel, the quest was kill the assassin hiding outside the Sect 03, elite quest. The corners of Jun Changxiao's mouth rose into a smile as he asked, at midnight? He was not in a hurry to shoot because the 2 men in black were hiding behind the stone. When they appeared in his field of vision, he would shoot them one by one. Huff! Jun Changxiao took a light breath, and the fingers that were holding the gun began to relax, preparing to bear the recoil of the shot. Time passed, and it was midnight. Move! Swoosh! The leader of the men in black jumped out from behind the stone and jumped from tree to tree. One look and one could tell that he was a professional assassin. Unfortunately, no matter how cool and elegant he was, he could not escape the automatic aim of the devil multiplier. At this time, Jun Changxiao could shoot with his eyes closed. Wait, wait. Wait for the other 2 men in black to come out. Swoosh! Swoosh! In a moment, the other 2 men in black came out from behind the stone. They did not stick together, but moved forward from different directions. Quite professional. Jun Changshao moved the muzzle slightly and locked onto the man in black jumping in front of him. His finger on the trigger suddenly pressed down. Bam! The loud sound shocked Yi Xingqian, who was cultivating in the room, and jumped out of bed. He crossed his arms and said vigilantly, "What's going on?" Bam! Bam! Right at this moment, two loud bangs that sounded like firecrackers resounded, and it shook Yidi's eardrums to the point of ringing while astonishment suffused his eyes. Crack crack crack. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound above his head. He looked up, his pupils shrank, and cried out in sorrow, "What the fuck?" Boom! The room collapsed and dust flew everywhere. "What's going on?" Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma, who were nearby, ran out in their pajamas. When they saw Yi Xingqian's room collapse, they stood there dumbfounded. Chapter 97. 3 deafening gunshots roused all the disciples of the inner yard, and they quickly gathered around. "Junior brother Yi is buried. Quick, quick, dig him out." All the disciples worked together, carrying the bricks and carrying the beam. In a short while, they carried out the dusty Yi Xingqian. Fortunately, he had undergone muscle-building training, or else he would have fainted long ago. "Senior brother." Suddenly, Su Xiaomo exclaimed, "It's the sect leader." "What?" Li Qingyang hurriedly jumped to the ruins and saw the sect leader's leg exposed, his whole body buried in the rubble. "Dig! Dig!" Everyone continued to move the bricks, and soon they also carried out the dusty Jun Changshao. He grimaced in pain and said, "Waste, waste," gently. "What's going on?" What else could he do? He pulled the trigger of the Type 88 sniper rifle and fired 3 shots outside. Although he killed the 3 assassins one by one and completed the side mission, the huge recoil almost caused him to suffer internal injuries. This was with the support of a leg stand. If he were to shoot, he would have been sent flying from the disciples' room to the cliff behind. "Motherfucker, it's so strong." Jun Changshao secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, he had enough strength. If he was in the meridian opening stage, the recoil would have caused him to die. Although his whole body was weak from the recoil, he was glad that he completed the side mission and was rewarded with 100 contribution points. Now his contribution points to the sect were 180. He had earned back the contribution points from buying the Type 88 sniper rifle, and only wasted 3 bullets and 5 contribution points. There was still another disciple's room. The recoil of the Type 88 sniper rifle was indeed strong. However, under the muscle-building training, Jun Changshao only needed to rest for a night, and his stiff body relaxed. He swung his arm, walked out of the sect, and came to the mountain forest. Of the 3 assassins last night, one had his head blown off, and the other 2 had their chests pierced. The reason why not all of them had their heads blown off was because after Jun Changshao blew off the first one's head, he found it too bloody and cruel, so he changed the 8x scope to automatic chest lock. Needless to say, the first assassin had his head blown off. As for the other 2 assassins, their wounds were as big as a fist. Jun Changshao looked back along the shooting trajectory and saw that the rocks in the distance had been blown to smithereens. His mouth twitched as he said, "I wasn't firing a sniper rifle. I was firing an artillery shell." Schwa! He squatted down, and after searching for a while, he found 3 spatial rings on the bodies of the 3 assassins. He then used the exquisite fire to incinerate the corpses. Inside the spatial rings of the 3 assassins, there was only one movement skill called Ghost Leap Steps, which cost less than 100 taels of silver. Jun Changshao took it and gave the rings to Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and Xiao Ziji. "Thank you, sect leader." The 3 of them put on the rings and cupped their fists. "Qingyang." Jun Changshao said, "Gather the disciples. I have something to announce." "Yes." It didn't take long for the 100 disciples to gather and line up neatly on the training field. Jun Changshao walked out. After an impassioned speech, he began to let them receive 4 types of elixirs, 1 for each type. The effect of this healing elixir is that no matter how serious the injury is, as long as you take it, you will be healed immediately. As for the beginner-grade body-shaping elixir, after taking it, the strength of your physical body will. Jun Changshao introduced the effects of the elixirs one by one. The disciples holding the 4 types of elixirs all widened their eyes. It's so magical. Yi Xingchen was also very surprised. Although he didn't know much about alchemy in his previous life, he had eaten many high-quality elixirs. A healing elixir that could instantly heal injuries was definitely unheard of. As for strengthening the physical body and increasing the speed of cultivation, he had seen it before. However, those were all high-quality elixirs. How could a 9th-rate sect have them? And to make it so that everyone could have one? Yi Xingchen had doubts, but when he saw the disciples swallow the body-shaping elixirs, he also opened his mouth and threw the elixir into his mouth. When the elixir took effect and he felt the transformation of his blood and meridians, his expression changed again and again. Bang! Li Fei, level 7 meridian opening, strength of 1100 gene. Bang! Zhang Wei, level 6 meridian opening, strength of 930 gene. Bang! The Iron Bone disciples who had taken the beginner-grade body-shaping elixir were tested one by one under the witness of the second senior brother. Yi Xingchen, who was standing at the side, twitched his mouth. These youths had ordinary aptitudes, but each of them had displayed a strength stronger than their level. It was simply unbelievable. Normally, one level would increase their strength by 100 gene. For a level 5 meridian opening, being able to display a strength of 700 gene was already considered an innate god of strength. After the Iron Bone disciples who had taken the body-shaping elixir, after a round of testing, their strength was generally 150 to 300 gene higher than their original level. If it was a group of high-grade spiritual roots, it would be understandable. In reality, only a small portion of them had middle-grade spiritual roots. Most of them had low-grade spiritual roots. This also meant that the beginner-grade body-shaping elixir could forcefully increase the strength of Iron Bone disciples regardless of the grade of their spiritual roots. Not bad, not bad. After receiving the test results, Jun Changshao nodded in satisfaction and said, "Qingyang, don't let them relax. Continue to cultivate and strive to enter level 12 meridian opening as soon as possible." Yes. In the morning, with the accompaniment of divine music, Lu Wansher's top-notch meals, and the spirit formation room, the Iron Bone disciples were very happy and diligent in their cultivation. They knew that the reason they could become stronger day by day was all because of the sect leader's nurturing. In order to repay him, they could only continuously improve themselves. Gradually, there were disciples who successfully opened their meridians with the help of the spirit formation room and the spirit formation room. Calculating the time, it had been almost 2 months since they had arrived at Iron Bone. How was the progress of their martial arts? In the beginning, their average cultivation was only at level 2 or 3. Now, they had risen to level 7 meridian opening and could open a new meridian every few days. Jun Changshao sat on a wooden chair in the main hall and muttered, "In less than a month, the disciples should be able to enter level 12 meridian opening." Sect leader. Su Xiaomao ran in excitedly, unable to hide his excitement. Disciple has broken through to martial disciple. Successfully condensing a cyclone in his dantian and breaking through to martial disciple was also because of the cyclone pill. After a while, Tian Qi also came to report, "Sect leader, disciple has broken through to martial disciple." Jun Changshao said, "Not bad, not bad." Including him, Iron Bone already had 5 martial disciples. This was rare in a 9th-rate sect. After cultivating for 4 hours, Jun Changshao opened the status panel again and looked at the shop where the sniper rifle had been refreshed. Soon, he saw a martial technique called self-chop. He clicked on the details item, self-chop description. Originally, it was only half a martial technique. Later, it was modified by a mysterious almighty person and became a complete technique. Effect: gather spiritual energy in the palm and form a crescent-shaped flowing light chop. Advantage: after being modified by a mysterious almighty person, it is easy to learn. It is powerful and consumes less spiritual energy. It is suitable for long-distance combat. Disadvantage: can only be cultivated by martial disciples. Price: 10 contribution points. Rank: early middle rank, only early middle rank. Jun Changshao immediately lost interest. After all, the body metamorphose scripture that had been refreshed was early divine rank. The system said, to be called a mysterious almighty person, he must be an extremely powerful existence. A martial technique that was personally modified, although the rank is low, it must have endless wonderful uses. The host is recommended to purchase 5 stars. Is that so? Jun Changshao clicked on the purchase button. After all, 10 points wasn't expensive. Ding! The host has spent 10 contribution points and obtained Self-Chop X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 177500. Ding! Detected that the host has purchased a spiritual energy martial technique from the shop, automatically matching it with the sect's martial technique. Chapter 98. Automatically matched with spiritual force type martial arts. Jun Changxiao's mind moved, and opened the complete system panel. Sect name, Iron Bone Clan. Sect leader, Jun Changxiao. Sect level, 9th rate. Sect construction, level 2. Sect function, medicine refining pavilion. Sect cultivation method, Yijin Jing, divine grade early stage, self/middle grade early stage. Sect member, 102500. Sect contribution points, 177,500. Sect achievement points, 0 out of 500. Sect mission, none. Sect main mission, within 100 years omitted here. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, this kind of martial arts can also be cultivated by disciples. While speaking, he clicked on the sect's cultivation method, chose self/martial arts, and directly copied 1,000 books. Ding! Host has spent 10 contribution points, copied self/secret manual X1000, has been transferred to the spatial ring. Jun Changshao took out a book and read it, and said in surprise, it is indeed easy to understand. While speaking, he began to circulate according to the meridian circulation diagram on the secret manual, and in less than 10 minutes, he felt spiritual force gathering in his palm. Walking out of the main hall, he stood on the martial arts field and waved his hand in the air. Shio, spiritual force erupted from his palm, forming a crescent shape, and swept across the ground, and finally exploded on the wooden stake that was erected a few days ago. Bang! The wooden stake exploded on the spot, and the shocked disciples all turned their heads to look. Oh my God! Su Xiaomao leaned over with his mouth open, and said in surprise, Sect leader, what kind of move is this? Jun Changshao clapped his hands, and said with a smile, a spiritual force type martial arts. Spiritual force type martial arts. Su Xiaomao suddenly opened his eyes wide. In his understanding, only those that gather spiritual force to attack are called spiritual force type martial arts, and they are very rare on the market, and the price is also extremely expensive. Here. Jun Changshao threw a self/book, patted his shoulder and said, take it and cultivate, if you can't learn it, then destroy your own meridians. Saying that, he turned around and returned to the main hall. Su Xiaomao caught the secret manual and saw the words, I chop, written on the cover. His eyes suddenly became hot and he said loudly, I will definitely succeed in practicing it. After returning to the main hall, Jun Changshao called Lu Qianqian, Li Qingyang, and Tian Qi over. He gave each of them a copy of Self/ and told them to cultivate it. Spiritual energy type martial skill. Oh my god, this is not easy to find. Sect leader is too good to us. When Lu Qianshan saw the words early middle rank, she didn't have any plans to cultivate it. However, after flipping it open, she found that the incantation was easy to understand, so she began to try cultivating it. After the Iron Bone disciples learned about the spiritual force martial skill, they trained even harder because the sect leader had announced that anyone who became a martial disciple would be able to obtain it. Work hard, work even harder. The cultivation of Iron Bone was getting more and more intense, and the strength of the disciples was also getting stronger every day. As for the wandering swordsman Ma Yongning, he was released after being locked up for 5 days. However, he refused to leave the sect no matter what. Why didn't he leave? Because after being locked up for a few days, he had already been deeply impressed by Lu Wancher's cooking skills. He hugged his knife and begged for mercy on the stairs of the cafeteria. Can you be a little more shameless? Jun Changshao said. Ma Yongning was half lying down, with a, "I'm so shameless" look, he said, "Sect leader Jun, let's write off our grudges. As long as you let me stay and eat Lady Lu's food every day, I'll do anything." Jun Changshao, damn it, if I knew earlier, I wouldn't have given him food. Sect leader. Lu Wancher blinked her eyes and said, "The cafeteria still lacks someone to wash the dishes. Why don't we let him stay and do the chores?" "Sure." Ma Yongning stood up with a whoosh, showing his rough hands, and said with incomparable pride, "This pair of hands was born to wash dishes." Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "Du is busy in the cafeteria every day. It's time to find some helpers to share the chores." Xiao Mu. Yes. Pull the 2 assassins over as well. Let them do chores in the cafeteria. If they don't cooperate, then there's only one word: beat them up ruthlessly. Yes. Su Xiaomao went to the prison. On the way, the corner of his mouth twitched, those 2 words are long enough. Just like that, Ma Yongning and the 2 assassins started to work in the cafeteria. Moreover, they were willing to do it because Lu Wancher's cooking was too delicious. In ancient times, there was an unyielding king who could commit treason with a bowl of fried rice. Today, there were cold-blooded and heartless assassins who could lower their heads after eating a few dishes. The disciples were tirelessly cultivating. Jun Changshao began to think about drizzle building, saying, "The 3 assassins sent to kill me haven't returned yet. The other party will definitely make a move. Should he eliminate them?" No. Jun Changshao dispelled the idea. Because they came to assassinate him 3 times in a row and triggered 2 side missions, this assassin organization was just giving him rice. If he eliminated them, wouldn't it be the same as running out of food? The system said, "The host is thinking too much." Nonsense. Jun Changshao said, "If I don't think too much, how am I going to survive in the cruel falling star continent?" The Iron Bone disciples wholeheartedly immersed themselves in cultivation. Jun Changshao didn't stay idle either. He would either walk around the cultivation room or comprehend the body metamorphose scripture in the inner court. During this period of time, the Azure Sun County was in an uproar. This was because the AI clan of Huyang City announced to the public that they had newly developed a healing pill that could quickly recover from injuries. How fast? The slogan was as follows: "As long as you still have a breath of life, as long as you are reluctant to part with the mortal world, consuming a healing pill would allow you to quickly recover in a few breaths. Your waist, kidney, you, and him. Wasn't it too exaggerated?" This was the first reaction of the martial artists in the Azure Sun County when they heard the news. However, when they thought about how the AI clan had been in the business of alchemy for generations, they probably wouldn't spread rumors and ruin their hard-earned reputation. 3 days later, the AI clan will hold a healing pill auction in Huyang City. It is said that only 9 pills will be auctioned. Many clans and sects are rushing over. Let's go, let's go. Let's go and take a look. In a short period of time, cultivators from the Azure Sun County swarmed into Huyang City from all directions. The number of people was even greater than the number of spectators at the tournament. From this, one could see how alluring the healing pill was. Of course, many clans and sects were doubtful. The AI clan also understood that they had to prove the healing effects of the healing pill. Thus, when the auction started, they pulled out the young master of the Sun City's Song clan, who had been bedridden for many years. It's the second young master of the Song clan. The second genius of the Azure Sun County, who was only second to Xiao Ziji, was attacked by a low-rank 5 vicious beast while cultivating in the wilderness. In the end, his entire body was paralyzed. This is truly heartbreaking. Could it be that the AI clan invited him here to prove the healing effects of the healing pill? The second young master of the Song clan has been bedridden for so long. Can a single healing pill really cure him? Everyone discussed fervently. Everyone. AI Shang walked out and said, in order to prove the healing effects of the AI clan's newly developed healing pill, we have reached an agreement with the Song clan's clan head yesterday. We will buy one for 30,000 silver taels. Everyone can bear witness to whether it can cure the second young master of the Song clan. As he spoke, he passed the pill to the Song clan head. Everyone turned to look at him. The Song clan head's hands trembled as he held on to the pill. Yesterday, the AI clan had repeatedly assured him that the pill was effective. It was inevitable that he would be agitated. Father. The second young master of the Song clan was half lying on the chair. With a pale face, he said, let the child consume it. Even if it's poison, it doesn't matter. As a genius second only to Xiao Ziji, due to being bedridden and unable to move, he had already lost all hope. If he could move, he would have ended his life long ago. The Song clan head walked over and personally fed the pill to his son. Tears streamed down his face as he prayed for a miracle to happen. A miracle came after consuming the pill. The hands of the second young master of the Song clan trembled slightly. Then, under everyone's gaze, he straightened his back and finally, stood up with great effort. Chapter 99. I'm standing up, Father. I'm standing up, I'm standing up. The second young master of the Song clan was ecstatic. Tears gathered in his eyes and his legs started to tremble. He gradually adapted to the long-awaited support. 3 years. More than 1,000 days. He had spent it all in bed. For a martial artist, a genius with extraordinary aptitude, this was definitely a torture worse than death. Today, the second young master of the Song clan stood up. He once again felt the weight of the earth and felt that his body belonged to him. What made him even more excited was that after his meridians were reconnected, his cultivation was still at the 7th stage of the meridian opening realm. Whoosh! Whoosh! He clenched his fists and 7 circles of light surrounded him. Excitement, excitement, all kinds of emotions filled his heart. The second young master of the Song clan could no longer control himself. Tears flowed down his cheeks. A man does not cry easily. It was only because he was not too excited. Seeing his son stand up, his pale face regained some color, and the gathering of spiritual energy, the old master of the Song clan's hands trembled and his eyes were filled with tears. The martial artists in the auction hall widened their eyes in disbelief. The young master of the Song clan, who had been paralyzed in bed for 3 years, ate a healing pill and not only stood up, his cultivation was still intact. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it. AI Shang sighed in relief. At first, he was worried that the healing pill could not cure people who had been ill for a long time. Now that the young master of the Song clan had proven it, the following auction would definitely be, not bad. Very popular, super popular. All the major clans and sects witnessed the heaven-defying pill. Their eyes flashed with enthusiasm. Everyone. AI Shang walked to the auction stage and said loudly, "The healing pill developed by the AI clan is suitable for martial disciples and meridian opening realm cultivators. As for the effect, I believe all of you have seen it. Let's begin the auction. Only suitable for martial disciples and meridian opening realm cultivators." Many martial artists' eyes were filled with regret. But thinking about it, if there was no restriction, no matter how serious the injury, it would be too terrifying. They had to buy it. The wealthy clans and sects made up their minds. Looking forward, AI Shang said loudly, "The starting price of the first healing pill is 10,000 taels, 20,000 taels. 30,000 taels, 35,000 taels. 40,000 taels." As soon as the auction began, all the major clans and sects began to bid fiercely. As for those martial artists who did not have enough money, they could only shut up. After a round of fierce bidding, the first healing pill was won by the 6-stream True Essence sect for a price of 100,000 taels. This was a sky-high price. The reason why the Jin Yuan sect was so desperate was not because they had too much money, but because one of their direct disciples had been seriously injured like the Song family's young master for many years. These days, all the clans and sects had a few patients. Can you guarantee that you won't get hurt for the rest of your life? When the True Origin sect won the healing pill at the price of 100,000 taels, many martial artists realized that this kind of pill that could quickly heal injuries was destined to become a luxury item that they could only sigh at. Yes, luxury goods. Because for the next 7 healing pills that were auctioned off, the families and sects that had deep financial resources and profound backgrounds fought to the death, and the final price was all 100,000 yuan. The last one was sold for 120,000 taels. A single healing pill was actually worth 12 spirit stones. This was absolutely shocking. However, after the auction ended, things didn't end there. News of the AI clan's recovery pellet swiftly healing the Song clan's second son swept through the Azure Sun County like a storm. Really? The Song clan's young master had been paralyzed for 3 years. They searched for countless famous doctors but still couldn't cure him. Is this a rumor? I went to Sun City the day before yesterday and saw the Song clan's young master playing on the streets as if he was flying. He didn't look like a patient who had been paralyzed for 3 years. If the Song clan's second young master's recovery was still doubtful, then not long after, the severely injured direct disciple of the 6-stream True Essence sect came down the mountain and completely convinced them. For a time, the news of the recovery pellet caused a huge commotion and even spread to the outer counties. All the families with patients rushed to Huyang City. However, when they arrived at the AI clan, the reply they received from the AI clan's patriarch was, "This kind of miraculous healing pill is really difficult to refine. Please wait for news of the auction and come back to purchase it in the future." Many families left helplessly. The clans and sects with genius patients chose to stay in Huyang City and wait for the day when the AI clan's recovery pellet would be sold again. Then, did anyone have any evil thoughts? Yes, but they forcefully dispelled them. After all, the AI clan was an old and famous pellet family. They didn't have much power on the surface, but they had a lot of connections. Offending the AI clan was equivalent to offending the Jianghu. See you in the Jianghu, that's right. If you offend me, I'll write you to death. Clan leader. One day, Su Xiaoma said, "The AI clan's patriarch is here to visit Huyang City." Jun Changshao, who was cultivating, opened his eyes and smiled, "Invite the AI clan's patriarch into the main hall." Yes. Su Xiaoma left. Jun Changshao touched his nose out of habit and said, "Looks like the AI clan's patriarch has already sold the recovery pellet." AI Shang's visit was expected, but he didn't expect him to come in just a few days. In the main hall of the sect, Jun Changshao walked out and cupped his hands. "The AI clan's patriarch has come to visit. Your presence brings light to my iron bone sect." As the leader of a sect, there was no lack of pleasantries, let alone a business partner. Ai Shang hurriedly got up and cupped his hands in greeting. I haven't seen you for a few days, but clan leader Jun's cultivation has improved a lot. After some pleasantries, he went straight to the point. Clan leader Jun, the 9 recovery pellets have been sold. How much? 850,000 taels. Clan leader Jun's face looked calm, but he was roaring in his heart. My mother must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. I only asked for 10,000 taels. Clan leader Jun Ai Shang placed a stack of banknotes on the table and smiled. This is 200,000 taels. Consider it a bonus. Please accept it. He's worthy of being called a businessman, he's very particular. Jun Changshao waved his hand and put the banknotes into his space ring. He smiled and said, I didn't find the wrong long-term partner. Long-term partner? Ai Shang was overjoyed. Clan leader Jun, could it be that you still have recovery pellets? Jun Changshao rested his chin on his hand and smiled. Isn't this the reason why the Ai clan's patriarch came to visit? Ai Shang was quite embarrassed when his thoughts were pointed out, but he still cupped his hands and said, it's my honor and the Ai clan's honor to be able to obtain clan leader Jun's trust. As a businessman, money was the most important thing. Recovery pellets could bring in huge profits, so he naturally spared no effort in flattering clan leader Jun Changshao said, the Ai clan's patriarch's words are too serious. You and I are now the most sincere partners. He put the bottle of recovery pellets on the table and said, I still have 10 recovery pellets here. The Ai clan's patriarch can take them and sell them. As for the price, give me 1 million taels. Ai Shang said straightforwardly. Jun Changshao heard this and swallowed back the 500,000 taels. He despised himself intensely in his heart. Jun Changshao, look at yourself. He said straightforwardly, deal. The Ai clan's patriarch hurriedly took out 1 million taels of banknotes and a contract. After signing the contract, the deal was done. But before leaving, Jun Changshao reminded him, Ai clan's patriarch, I don't want to show my face in public. That's why I'm cooperating with the Ai clan. I hope you can understand. I understand, I understand. Understand what? He understood that the Iron Bone clan's patriarch didn't want others to know that this heaven-defying recovery pellet was made by him. After the Ai clan's patriarch left, Li Qingyang came to see him and said, Clan leader, when will Junior Marshal Brother Ye's collapsed room be rebuilt? Jun Changshao casually threw a stack of banknotes and said, rebuild my ass. Just rebuild the inner courtyard according to the Imperial Palace's forbidden grounds. Also, expand the outer courtyard. Li Qingyang held the thick stack of banknotes and counted them slightly. He exclaimed, 100,000 taels. Chapter 100. Li Qingyang, who was holding 100,000 taels of silver, was stunned on the spot. Coming from a family, he did not have much concept of money, but he knew that this amount was huge. Using it to rebuild the Iron Bone could only be said to be extravagant. Li Qingyang hurried back to his room, picked up a brush and ink, and started to draft the reconstruction plan. The inner yard needed to be rebuilt, and the outer yard needed to be expanded. This was a huge project, and he had to seriously plan it. After a night of designing, the sketch was done. The Iron Bone main hall in the outer yard did not change, and it was still at the northernmost side. The rest of the buildings were all changed. The training field was enlarged, and more buildings were added. The inner yard also changed a lot. Not only did they add greenery, but they also added a lot of rooms, enough to accommodate 1,000 disciples. Of course, Li Qingyang also considered Lu Wanshi, and specially divided the vegetable field and the livestock pen. With enough funds, this reconstruction was definitely a bold and decisive one. Once it was completed, it would be a brand new Iron Bone Jing sect. Not bad. After looking at the sketch, Jun Changshao was very satisfied. Li Qingyang pointed at a few blank areas on the sketch, and said, "I've decided to build a wing here first. After it's completed, everyone can move in first, and then we can rebuild the other areas. This way, we won't have to live in the outer yard." Jun Chang smiled and said, "You've considered everything thoroughly." He gave the task of rebuilding the sect to Li Qingyang because he valued his steady and cautious personality. Simply put, he was suitable to be the head butler. Li Qingyang would definitely be the internal affairs elder if he wanted to divide the elders' positions. "Sect master, when will we start the reconstruction?" 3 days later. "Yes." Li Qingyang left. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, "After the reconstruction of the sect is completed, we'll open the mountain gate to recruit disciples. Once we have 500 people, we'll trigger the sect mission." When the sect was upgraded to level 2, he did not recruit disciples immediately because he wanted to strengthen this batch of disciples first. AI Shang took 10 beginner healing pills and returned to the AI family. However, they were not in a hurry to auction it off. Instead, they were waiting for the news to spread so that more forces would know about it. Previously, he had sold 9 healing pills for 850,000. Now, he had spent 1 million to buy 10 from Jun Changshao. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed like a loss. Otherwise. AI Shang had absolute confidence that the price of the 10 recovery pellets would exceed 1,000,000 taels in the second auction. If a businessman couldn't raise the price of a heaven-defying pill to a higher price, then he wouldn't be worthy of the word businessman. Of course. At the same time, AI Shang was also pondering. If the news of the healing pills were to spread, it would alarm the major powers and sections. How would he explain himself? 3 days later. A large number of craftsmen entered the iron bone factory and began to expand the inner courtyard. Because it was built in another area, it did not affect the disciples' residence and rest. They could continue to cultivate as usual. Sect leader. One day, Li Qingyang came to report, "Last night, another 9 disciples opened their 10th meridian. Other than junior brother Xiao, junior brother Yi, and junior sister Lu, the other disciples have all reached the 10th stage of the meridian opening realm." "Not bad, not bad," Jun Changshao said with satisfaction. Calculating the time, this batch of disciples had just been recruited for 2 months. To reach the 10th stage from the 2nd or 3rd stage was quite fast. Let them continue to work hard. Those who break through to the martial disciple realm will be given the self/manual, Jun Changshao said. Yes. Li Qingyang left. Jun Changshao stood up and went to the training room. Xiao Ziji was in the muscle building room. There were still 2 hours left. Creak. At this moment, the door of another muscle building room opened. Yi Xingqian, who had been beaten black and blue, slid out and panted heavily. Ever since his room collapsed, he had been cultivating in the training room. His strength was not inferior to Xiao Ziji's. Needless to say, he had made great progress. His originally weak body had become much stronger. As for his realm, he had broken through from the 1st stage to the 3rd stage. His explosive strength had reached 800 jin. Normally, with Yi Xingqian's physical aptitude, it would be considered good if he could exert 400 jin. The extra 400 jin was due to the Yi Jin Jing, the Taixuan Sutra, the muscle building room, and the body shaping pill. Jun Changshao could also see that he had changed a lot during this time, so he smiled and said, "Now, do you still feel wronged by joining the Iron Bone sect?" Yi Xingqian was silent. Previously, he must have been brooding over the fact that he was forced to join the Iron Bone sect despite being a reborn martial emperor. Now, he was. That's right, it was really good. Schwa. Jun Changshao went into the muscle building room. After 2 hours of sculpting, Xiao Ziji was waving the testing machine again and again. The strength on it was constantly changing. 3,000 jin. 3,200 jin, bang. When the last punch was thrown, the strength was fixed at 2,500 gene. Without opening his meridians, just by tempering his body, his strength had reached the level of a third-stage martial disciple. It was really inconceivable. However, Xiao Ziji did not feel happy at all. Instead, he lowered his arms in dejection. Jun Changshao walked over and said, "What are you thinking about?" "Sect Master, I." Xiao Ziji paused and said bitterly, "During this period of cultivation, my body has reached its limit. It will be very difficult for it to improve." Jun Changshao said, "A martial artist's true strength lies not only in their body, but also in many other aspects, such as weapons and equipment. Come with me." He brought Xiao Ziji to the back of the mountain and took out the QBU-88 sniper rifle. He placed it on the ground and said, "Try to fire a shot." "Can I?" Xiao Ziji was stunned. Jun Changshao said, "If your body can handle it, this sniper rifle is yours." The system reminded, although this disciple can use the sniper rifle, the magically modified 8x scope function can only be triggered by the host. So fucked up. Jun Changshao frowned. In his mind, Xiao Ziji could not open his meridians and could not condense his spirit energy. He would train him to be a sniper. After all, his body was strong, so it should not be a problem for him to bear the recoil. But now, the magically modified 8x scope, self-aiming, X-ray vision, and other functions could not be triggered by this disciple. How could he achieve 100% accuracy? Phew! Xiao Ziji let out a long sigh of relief. He walked to the front of the QBU-88 sniper rifle, obviously wanting to try it out. Jun Changshao personally taught him how to hold the gun, and how to get close to the 8x scope. He also explained the range, firing speed, and wind speed. He said, "Do you understand?" "Understood. That small rock a few hundred feet in front of you, break it." As he spoke, Jun Changshao had already moved far away, afraid that the recoil from the shot would implicate him. Shwa! Xiao Ziji crouched down, holding the gun with one hand. The end of the gun was pressed against his shoulder. One of his eyes leaned against the lens, and after checking, he immediately pulled the trigger. Bang! The muzzle spat out fire. Like a cannonball, a stream of light shot out. It accurately hit a small rock more than 500 meters away, and blew it to pieces. So accurate. Jun Changshao opened his eyes wide. When he retracted his gaze and looked at Xiao Ziji, he found that the gun was still there, and the ground under the support was sunken. That guy had disappeared into thin air. Where is he? Where is he? Sect. Sect Master. More than 10 meters behind him, Xiao Ziji was paralyzed on a tree branch. His mouth was foaming, and he weakly said, "Disciple. Disciple is here." Chapter 101. The recoil of the Type 88 sniper rifle is really strong. Xiao Ziji fired a shot. Even with the support of his leg, he was still sent flying for more than 10 meters. However, there were two things that surprised Jun Changshao. First, this kid was very accurate. Second, after resting for a while, he stood up as if nothing had happened. My cultivation is higher than his, but I had to rest for most of the night before I could adjust. The system explained, that's because the host fired 3 shots in a row. The recoil is very strong, but he only fired 1 shot. So that's how it is. Jun Changshao suddenly realized. No matter what, Xiao Ziji's shooting talent and his strong body made him even more determined to train him into a sniper. I've sinned. Jun Changshao said, "This Type 88 sniper rifle is yours. When you have time, try to get a feel for it." Yes. Xiao Ziji picked up the gun. Although he remembered the recoil and felt a chill down his spine, but when he saw the broken stone, his eyes were burning. Men love guns, it is their nature. Even men from another world are no exception. Following this, Xiao Ziji would take out 2 hours every day to lie on the grass, stones, and trees in the back mountain. One of his eyes would lean on the lens, aiming at something in the distance. He did not fire the gun because the head said that there were only 6 bullets left in the gun. In order to better adapt to the recoil, Xiao Ziji would also stand on the martial arts field and let his senior brothers hit him with thick logs. "Junior brother, are you ready?" "Ta!" Xiao Ziji stepped forward, his upper body exposed. He patted his right shoulder where the gun was and said, "Senior brothers, come. Go." Su Xiaomo ordered. 10 disciples holding the logs fiercely hit him, but with a bang sound, he was sent flying. The muscle sculpting machine is based on science to refine the body and maximize the muscle enhancement. This method is quite extreme. Shua. Xiao Ziji climbed up and returned to his previous position. He once again got into a horse stance and endured the pain, again. Boom. Again. Boom. Again. Again. On the steps of the main hall, as he watched Xiao Ziji fall and stand up again and again, Li Qingyang said, "Sect Master, junior brother Xiao wants to become stronger too much." Jun Changxiao leaned his arms against the stone railing and said, "Qingyang, although your junior brother has become the champion of the sect's martial arts competition and proved himself with his strength, he still has to surpass his former fiancé." Li Qingyang said in a deep voice, "Sect leader, as far as I know, junior martial brother Zhao's fiancée is called Murong Xian. She is a direct descendant of the Murong clan, one of the 4 great clans of Tianhai County." Tianhai County. Jun Changxiao had a vague impression of it. It seemed to be a county with a large population. He asked, "Is the Murong family very strong?" Li Qingyang was silent for a while, then said, "If we were to calculate according to the ranking of the sects, the Murong family of Tianhai County is at least not weaker than the Tsang Mountain sect." Jun Changxiao said in surprise, "So strong?" Li Qingyang said, "Murong Xian has the best spiritual root. She was accepted as a direct disciple by the 11th elder of the second-rate sect, the Lily Holy Sect." Jun Changxiao didn't care about the best spiritual root. What he cared about was the Lily Holy Sect. This name was really meaningful. He joked, "Is there a gay sect?" "Gay sect?" Li Qingyang scratched his head and said, "I have never heard of it." Jun Changxiao went back to the topic and said, "A family comparable to a 5th-rate sect, and a disciple of a 2nd-rate sect. This Murong Xian is really not simple. However." He touched his chin and said, "Since she is so outstanding, why is she engaged to Zui Ji?" "They were engaged before they were born." Li Qingyang said. Jun Changxiao said, "No wonder." Looking at Xiao Ziji who was training, he murmured, "It will be very difficult for my disciple to surpass the woman who abandoned him. Only difficult is challenging. Only then can he prove his ability to train his disciple. Murong Xian of the Murong family, just you wait. One day, I will make you understand how stupid it was to break the engagement." The craftsmen in the inner courtyard were building in full swing. The disciples were also cultivating. 7 days passed peacefully. Iron Bone welcomed a historic moment. Except for Xiao Ziji, Lu Wanshi, and Yi Xingqian, all the other disciples broke through to the 12th stage. Tian Qi, Li Fei, Zhang Wei, and the others became martial disciples. The number of disciples increased from 5 to 10. Under normal circumstances, a 9th-rate sect having 3 to 5 martial disciples was not bad. Iron Bone had 10, which was undoubtedly very powerful. Strange. Jun Changxiao opened the data panel and saw that the sect was still a 9th-rate sect. He was puzzled and said, "The sect has 9 martial disciples, and the rest are all at the 12th stage. Why haven't they upgraded?" The system said, "The promotion of the sect is not decided by the system. It needs to be certified by the relevant department of the Falling Star continent." "Which department?" "You can ask the disciples." Jun Changshao called Li Qingyang over. Li Qingyang said, "Sect leader, as far as I know, if you want the sect to enter the 8th rate, you need to go to the Sect Certification Hall to be certified." Sect Certification Hall. Where is it? Qingyang City. What kind of certification is it? Li Qingyang thought for a while and said uncertainly, "It seems to be bringing disciples who meet the requirements to be certified. So troublesome. I'm too lazy to go." Jun Changshao dismissed the idea of going for certification. In his opinion, as long as the sect was strong, it didn't matter if it was considered a 9th-rate sect. In the weeds at the back of the mountain, Xiao Ziji was covered in weeds. Only his eyes were exposed. He was lying motionless. Shua. After a long time, a relatively large wild boar walked out about 600 meters ahead. Xiao Ziji lowered his head slightly. One of his eyes was on the lens. He locked onto the wild boar's head and pulled the trigger. Bang! The gunshot rang out. Xiao Ziji held the gun and was knocked back 2 meters. As for the wild boar, its head was accurately shot and its body fell to the ground. Su Xiaomao ran over and lifted it up. "Junior brother Xiao, your marksmanship is really accurate." "Who?" Xiao Ziji stood up. He held the gun in one hand and rubbed his numb right shoulder with the other. A bright smile appeared on his face. After 7 days of training in the molding room and extreme body tempering, he was no longer hanging from a tree branch because of the recoil like the first time he fired the gun. "Not bad, not bad." Jun Changshao clapped his hands and walked out. Xiao Ziji lay motionless on the ground for 4 hours. When the prey appeared, he quickly shot it in the head. He was definitely a natural sniper. This was the advantage of being a genius. Even if he was not good in martial arts, he could still perform well in other things. "I have sinned." Jun Changshao said, "When the sentry tower is built, the heavy responsibility of protecting the sect will be handed over to you." This guy gave the Type 88 sniper rifle to Xiao Ziji and let him become a sniper. He hoped that he could protect the sect and not let others get close. Although there was a sect protection array, it was still 1 contribution point per day. It was impossible to burn it over a long period of time. If a sniper was placed at the sentry tower, he could instantly kill any suspicious person or assassin. That would be very comfortable. "Yes." Xiao Ziji said. "But," he said weakly, "Sect leader, there are only 5 bullets left." Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "Yes, there are a little less bullets. We have to go to Qingyang City to buy some cores." "Qingyang. Inform the disciples who broke through to Martial Disciple to follow me to Qingyang City's Sect Certification Center tomorrow." Since he was going to Qingyang City, he had to get certified on the way. Chapter 102. The next day, Jun Changshao brought Lu Qianshan, Li Qingyang, and the others to Green Sun City. Xiao Ziji also followed along. The Type 88 sniper rifle on his back was wrapped in black cloth, giving off a mysterious feeling. Snipers have to pay attention to their surroundings at all times. You can't relax at all. Jun Changshao said. Xiao Ziji was on high alert all the way. Even if there was a wild rabbit running through the grass, he would be able to catch it immediately. He had already accepted the position of a sniper, but he lacked bullets for shooting practice. Talent was important, but to be able to not miss a single shot, he still needed bullets to feel. A few hours later, the group arrived at Green Sun City. As soon as they entered, they attracted the attention of the people in the city. The contempt and ridicule in their eyes were naturally replaced by respect and reverence. During this period of time, Iron Bone's performance had already been recognized. Just as Jun Changshao said, ordinary people like to follow the trend. When you were weak, they would want to kick you. When you were strong, they would want to kneel down and lick your boots. Where is the Sect certification? In the south of the city. Walking along the wide street to the south of the city, Jun Changshao brought his disciples to a building with the words Sect Certification Hall. Why is Iron Bone here? Are they going to get their sect certified? Although sect leader Jun defeated Long Blade Sect's sect leader in the grievance arena, his personal strength is not enough. His disciples have to be strong to pass the certification. The Sect Certification Hall has a cooperative relationship with the 100 Races Alliance. Iron Bone has left the alliance, so it will be difficult for them to get certified. Hearing the discussions of the passers-by, Jun Changshao frowned and thought, the Certification Hall has a cooperative relationship with the 100 Races Alliance. They will definitely make things difficult for them. As expected. After entering the Certification Hall and reporting their sect's name, the deacon said indifferently, according to the sect certification rules, you must show the 100 Races Alliance's certificate to be certified. Su Xiaomao slammed the table and said angrily, we're already here, why don't you just verify it? Why do you still need a certificate? The deacon said indifferently, this is the Sect Certification Hall, the fair and just authority of the Starfall continent. Sect Master Jun, please tell your disciples to be more respectful. Fair and just. If Jun Changshao didn't care about his status as the sect leader, he would have already taken out the records of the Grand Historian and smashed him in the face. Can't it be verified without a certificate? He asked calmly. The deacon said indifferently, if there is a proof of recommendation from a fifth-rate sect or above, it can also be verified. Of course, a low-level sect like Iron Bone that hasn't even joined the 100 Races Alliance wouldn't be recommended by a major sect, so it's best that you return to where you came from. Fuck. Li Fei couldn't help but slap the table and say, if you fucking say, inferior, again, do you believe that I won't kick you to death? Most of the disciples who joined the Iron Bone sect came from poor backgrounds, except for a few who had some status. They were so angry that they were humiliated, especially by their own sect, that they would definitely swear. The deacon cupped his hands and sneered, what? Iron Bone's sect wants to cause trouble in the certification hall. Jun Changshao signaled the angry disciples to calm down and said, I would like to ask, what are the requirements to be verified as an 8th-rate sect? The deacon glanced at the Iron Bone sect disciples who thought they were a bunch of country bumpkins and said indifferently, 5 martial disciples and 5 channel opening stage 12 disciples. Jun Changshao understood and said, goodbye. Watching the Iron Bone sect disciples leave, the deacon said in disdain, he left the 100 Sects Alliance and still wants to be verified. Is this guy stupid? Sect Master, that guy is purposely making things difficult for Iron Bone. Su Xiaomao gritted his teeth and said as they walked out of the certification hall. If he doesn't want to verify, then so be it. He even fucking humiliated us. Tian Qi was so angry that his body was trembling. Li Qingyang said calmly, the certification hall is related to the 100 Sects Alliance. If we want to raise the level of our sect, we can only do it in another province. It doesn't matter. Jun Changshao said. They came to Green Sun City to buy bullets, so the certification was just on the way. Since the other party was purposely making things difficult, they could just not verify it. After all, it was enough for the sect to qualify as an 8th-rate sect. Sect Master Jun. At this moment, a deep and vigorous voice came from afar. Jun Changshao turned around and looked. He said in shock, Elder Ma. That's right. The person who came was Zhang Shan, Sect's Elder Ma. From the aura he emitted, it was obvious that he had broken through to Wuzong. He had been stuck at the peak of Martial Master for a long time. 2 months ago, Jun Changshao gave him some guidance, allowing him to finally break through. Elder Ma stopped in front of Jun Changshao and cupped his hands in gratitude. Thanks to Sect Master Jun's guidance, this old man was able to enter Wuzong. Wuzong. Li Qingyang and the others' eyes were filled with envy and respect. In Qingyang County, those who had reached the level of Martial Master were the top experts. Wuzong was undoubtedly an existence that they looked up to. Jun Changshao said modestly, Elder Ma is confused by the situation. As long as you solve the puzzle, even without Jun, you can easily enter a higher level. Elder Ma's eyes were filled with admiration. When the 100 Sect recruited him, he felt that this kid was full of nonsense. Now it seemed that he was a humble little guy. What's wrong? Looking at the Sect certification hall, Elder Ma said, Sect Master Jun wants to certify the Sect's level. That's right. Jun Changshao said. Elder Ma glanced at the disciples of Iron Bone behind him. Seeing the aura they exuded, he cupped his hands and smiled, congratulations on your Sect's promotion to the 8th rate. Jun Changshao shook his head and said helplessly, if they don't certify, what's there to celebrate? Not certifying. Elder Ma was surprised, what do you mean? The Sect certification hall was the authority of the Falling Star continent. Any sect could be certified. It was his first time hearing that they didn't certify. Jun Changshao told him everything. After Elder Ma heard, he said in a deep voice, the 100 Sect Alliance is just a private organization. To think that they can get the Sect certification hall to certify, this is the biggest joke in the world. Sect Master Jun, let's go. He made an inviting gesture and said, this old man will bring your sect to be certified. Jun Changshao brought his disciples into the hall again. The deacon stood up and said with a black face, Sect Master Jun, why are you here again? To certify the sect. Jun Changshao said. The deacon rolled his eyes and said in a bad mood, I've already said it clearly. If you want to be certified, you either need to show the 100 Sect Alliance's certification or have a 5th rate, Deacon Zhao. Before he finished, he was interrupted by Elder Ma who walked in, I represent the Blue Mountain Sect to recommend the Iron Bone clan. This should be in accordance with the certification rules, right? Elder Ma. Seeing the Blue Mountain Sect elder walk in, Deacon Zhao hurriedly walked out of the counter and smiled politely, how come you have time to come to the certification hall? His face changed so quickly. Su Xiaoma, Tian Qi, and the others cast disdainful glances at this kind of obsequious person. Elder Ma said indifferently, Deacon Zhao, if I remember correctly, you've been a deacon for 10 years. Yes, yes. Deacon Zhao smiled, exactly 10 years. Elder Ma's eyes turned cold, Deacon Zhao is also a senior. I would like to ask, if the certification hall authorized the certification hall to provide a local private organization certification. This. Deacon Zhao's face changed. He only represented the Azure Sun County's Sect certification hall. Working with the 100 Sect Alliance to gain benefits was a personal action. The higher-ups definitely didn't know. Jun Changshao said, hearing Elder Ma's words, I can't help but suspect that Deacon Zhao and the 100 Sect Alliance have some dirty deal. Chapter 103. Deacon Zhao's forehead was covered in cold sweat, he no longer had the arrogance and coldness from before. If news of him making an agreement with the 100 Sect Alliance and receiving benefits were to spread to the headquarters, losing his deacon position would be a small matter, but being held accountable would be a big matter. Deacon Zhao quickly realized that the arrival of the Grey Mountain Sect elder had something to do with Jun Changshao, so he hurriedly smiled, Sect leader Jun, this Zhao will now certify you in Iron Bone. No, no, no. Jun Changshao said, my Iron Bone is only a low-grade sect, we don't have the 100 Sect Alliance's certification, how can we be qualified to certify a sect? Deacon Zhao's face turned ugly as if he had eaten a fly. Elder Ma coldly said, as the person in charge of the Sect Certification Center, shouldn't you abide by the rules of fairness? You need the 100 Sect Alliance to provide a certification, this is too absurd. The last 5 words were sonorous and forceful, shaking Deacon Zhao's heart to the point that his legs started to spin. This was an elder of the 5 flowing Grey Mountain Sect, not to mention the headquarters. Even if it was a branch, he would definitely end up in a miserable state. Seeing this fellow's pale face, Jun Changshao thought to himself, if I don't step on you like a dog, how can I face my angry disciples? Pa! Suddenly, Deacon Zhao raised his hand and really slapped his own face, smiling flatteringly. Sect Leader Jun, my head was squashed by the door just now, please be magnanimous and don't lower yourself to my level. This works too. Li Qingyang and the rest's mouths twitched. If he was still as arrogant as before, perhaps they would respect him a little, but now that he had turned into a dog wagging its tail, it was disgusting to look at him. Deacon Zhao, you're too gentle. Jun Changshao lightly said. Pa. Deacon Zhao slapped his own face again, this time with a lot of strength. A bright red palm print appeared on the right side of his face. He endured the burning pain and forced himself to smile. Sect Master Jun, are you satisfied now? Not satisfied. Jun Changshao replied. Pa. Pa. Deacon Zhao was also a ruthless person, he slapped both sides of his face, and because he used too much strength, his nose started to bleed. Sect Leader Jun, his face was slightly sinister as he smiled and said, Are you satisfied? Since the other party was fighting with such sincerity, Jun Changshao didn't want to go against him. So, he said indifferently, let's go through the procedure and get certified. Please, please. Deacon Zhao endured the pain, bringing him and the rest of the Iron Bone disciples to the back of the sect in the middle of the courtyard in the middle of the sect alliance. Sect Master Jun, these are the cultivation testing stones. Please verify them one by one. If you meet the requirements, your sect can be upgraded. What requirements? 5 disciples have reached a strength value of more than 2,300 gene. Oh. Jun Changshao understood. This so-called cultivation testing stone was actually the same as the strength testing machine sold in the store. Li Fei, go and take the test. Sect Li Fei was the first to walk over. He scratched his head and asked, Sect Leader, should we use our fists or our feet? Deacon 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 Deacon. Deacon Deacon Deacon. Understood. Li Fei raised his foot and suddenly kicked over. This action was similar to playing a happy football. Boom, he kicked the testing stone. Elder Ma, who had followed along, inwardly commented, his chassis is solid and he didn't use any spiritual power. He should have trained hard. The strength of this kick must have reached the required level, Ka. Suddenly, he stopped thinking and a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. This was because a number was gradually appearing on the testing stone. The content was, 3,000 genes. This. Deacon Zhao was also dumbfounded. As the person in charge of the sect certification hall in Qinyang City, he had seen many disciples test their strength, but this was the first time he had seen someone who could kick a force of 3,000 gene with just his physical body. AI. Li Fei shook his head. I'm not used to it. Little Mo, yes. Su Xiaoma walked up and gave a kick as well, exerting a force of 3,500 kilograms. Then, he shrugged and said helplessly, as expected, I'm not used to it. The corners of Elder Ma and Deacon Zhao's mouths twitched. The 2 disciples each gave a kick. The purest physical strength was comparable to a second-grade martial disciple. This was simply inconceivable. Next up was Lu Qianqian. She gently hit the testing stone with her jade-like palm, displaying a force of 2,000 genes. It was obvious that she didn't use her full strength. Li Qingyang walked up and poured spiritual power into his fist. He suddenly punched the testing stone, and the strength displayed was 5,000 genes. Boom! Tian Qi also punched the testing stone. He didn't use any spiritual power, and the force of his punch was 3,200 genes. Elder Ma and Deacon Zhao's eyes opened wider and wider. These Iron Bone disciples were only first-grade martial disciples, but each of them could exert a force of more than 3,000 genes. This was simply terrifying. Deacon Zhao. Jun Changshao said, our 5 disciples all meet the requirements. Can we be certified as an 8th-rate sect? Deacon Zhao came back to his senses and hurriedly said politely, according to the certification rules, your sect still needs 5 disciples who have reached the 12th stage of the channel opening realm. Oh. Jun Changshao waved his hand. Zhang Wei and the other 3 disciples who had broken through to the martial disciple realm were tested in order. The result was that without exception, all of them had a strength of more than 3,000 genes. Other than Lu Qianxian and Li Qingyang, the other Iron Bone disciples were all middle-grade spiritual roots. Naturally, it was also because of their training and the body-shaping pill that they were able to produce a strength value that was close to the standard. Elder Ma and Deacon Zhao felt a little dizzy. A few disciples who could produce a strength value of a second-grade martial disciple could be explained by innate divine power. So many disciples produced a strength value of 3,000 genes. Could it be that they all had innate divine power? It wasn't innate, but acquired. Sect leader Jun Elder Ma looked at Xiao Ziji and said, "Is your disciple not going to be tested?" Jun Changshao said, "Zue Ji, go up and punch for Elder Ma to see." Yes. Xiao Ziji handed the sniper rifle wrapped in cloth to Su Xiaomu. He stepped in front of the testing stone, took a deep breath, and punched it. His strength value was 4,600 genes. Elder Ma's eyes widened and his mouth gaped open. His eyes were filled with shock. This kid's body didn't emit any spiritual energy. He was able to produce a strength value of 5,000 genes with pure physical strength. This was absolutely terrifying. Zue Ji. Deacon Zhao thought of something and said in surprise, could it be that he's Xiao Ziji, the Xiao family's direct descendant who won the martial arts competition? Jun Changshao said indifferently, please remove the Xiao family's direct descendant and change it to Iron Bone disciples. Thank you. Understood, understood. Deacon Zhao hurriedly said. Elder Ma exclaimed, so he's the champion of the martial arts competition that just ended. No wonder he's so strong. He had also heard about the Iron Bone disciples monopolizing the top 4 spots in the martial arts competition in Song Mountain Sect. He had even discussed it with the sect leader and the higher-ups. Sect leader Jun Elder Ma cupped his hands and said, these people have all become dragons among men under your guidance. This was the truth and not flattery. After all, a group of disciples with average aptitudes could be trained to such a level by the Iron Bone sect leader. Even Song Mountain Sect would find it difficult to do so. Not only Song Mountain Sect, but even if it was a higher-level sect, it would be impossible to train a group of people with average aptitudes to become first-grade martial disciples and have a higher level of combat strength. Of course. The higher-level sects wouldn't accept them because it was a complete waste of time and resources. Jun Changshao thought differently. He wanted to train these disciples who were regarded as trash in the eyes of the higher-level sects, because it was very challenging. Chapter 104. The requirement to become an 8th-rate sect was to have 5 martial disciples and 5 12th-stage channel opening cultivators. The disciples brought by Jun Changshao, including Xiao Ziji, who had no cultivation, all displayed strength that far exceeded the minimum requirement. Therefore, passing the certification was a smooth affair. Sect Master Jun, on the counter, Attendant Zhao handed over a token with the word 8 engraved on it and said with a smile, congratulations to your sect for becoming an 8th-rate sect. Even if there were no elders of Tsang Mountain Sect present, he would still act respectfully. After all, the strength displayed by the group of disciples was too valiant. Iron Bone's future was limitless. Ding! Congratulations to the host for upgrading the sect to an 8th-rate sect. The reward is 100 achievement points and 200 contribution points. Ding! Sect achievement points, 100500. Ding! Sect contribution points, 355500. Damn! When the sect was upgraded, it even gave achievement points and contribution points. Jun Changshao was pleasantly surprised. Actually, when he first heard that a sect needed to be certified, he had rejected it. Now that he received achievement points and contribution points, he felt great and wonderful. The system said, the higher the sect's grade, the higher the reward. Jun Changxiao's eyes burned with passion and said, Attendant Zhao, what are the requirements for upgrading from an 8th-rate sect to a 7th-rate sect? Attendant Zhao hurriedly said, Sect Master needs to become a martial master. The number of disciples must be at least 50 martial disciples and 512-stage channel opening cultivators. That many? Jun Changxiao frowned. The upper limit of a sect's disciples was only 500. It seemed that in order to upgrade to a 7th-rate sect, not only did he need to raise the cultivation of all the disciples, he also needed to upgrade the sect to a 3rd-rate sect. The 9th-rate sect on the system panel changed to an 8th-rate sect. Sect Master Jun received 100 achievement points and 200 contribution points. He walked out of the certification hall in a good mood. 8th-rate sect token. Heavens, Iron Bone actually upgraded. Unbelievable, unbelievable. When the passers-by saw the 8th-rate sect token hanging on Jun Changxiao's waist, their eyes were filled with shock. More than 2 months ago, Iron Bone sect was just an obscure trash sect in the eyes of the world. The first-generation sect leader was even beheaded because he went to a brothel and became a laughingstock. In just a few short days, under the leadership of the second-generation sect master, not only did the sect rapidly expand, it even went from the 9th rate to the 8th rate. Many people felt that this was unreal, as if they were dreaming. Sect Master Jun. The elder of the Tsang Mountain sect cupped his hands and said, This Ma still has things to deal with. If you have time in the future, please come to my Tsang Mountain sect for a chat. It sounded like polite words, but many cultivators were envious. After all, not everyone was qualified to hear such polite words from a 5th-rate sect's elder. Jun Changxiao cupped his hands and said, When I have time, I will definitely pay a visit to Tsang Mountain sect. Goodbye. Goodbye. Elder Ma left, but on the way, he thought to himself, to be able to bring a group of ordinary youths to such a stage, this child is really not simple. If we meet again in the future, this Iron Bone clan will probably become even stronger. For a group of disciples to be able to produce such a terrifying strength value, Elder Ma would definitely not look down on them. After the sect certification, Jun Changxiao brought his disciples to the market and entered a crystal core shop, starting to choose crystal cores of various grades. Considering that the higher the grade of the crystal core, the greater the recoil of the bullet, he focused his attention on crystal cores of the 4th or 5th grade. After a round of selection, Jun Changxiao chose 2 crystal cores of the 7th grade and 50 crystal cores of the 5th grade, which were similar to the Earth Fire Wolf King's crystal core. The shopkeeper smiled and said, Sect Master Jun, 2 crystal cores of the 7th grade are 20,000 taels, 50 crystal cores of the 5th grade are 150,000 taels. The total is 170,000 taels. Oh my God, so expensive. The disciples who followed him opened their eyes wide. 170,000 taels, to them, they would never dream of it. Jun Changxiao took out banknotes and slammed them on the counter, saying, I'll buy it. Seeing so much money, the Iron Bone disciple felt dizzy and secretly said, Our sect master is really rich. After buying the pills, Jun Changxiao went to the medicine market again. In the end, he only found a few healing pills and brought his disciples back to the sect. On the way, he unloaded the bullets of the Type 88 sniper rifle and reloaded them into the Earth Fire Wolf King's crystal core. He used the crystal cores of the 5th grade to reload 10 bullets. Arriving at a deserted place, Jun Changxiao pointed at the hornet's nest hanging on the tree in front of him and said, Xin Ji, shoot it down. Yes. Xiao Ziji found a spot, propped up a stand, and then used the gun to calibrate the target. In the process, Li Qingyang and the others had already retreated more than 10 meters away. Sect Master Jun also retreated and secretly said, replacing the 7th grade with a 5th grade, the recoil shouldn't be too big. Pang, while thinking, Xiao Ziji, after calibrating, decisively pulled the trigger. The muzzle of the gun spat out a stream of light, and then accurately shattered the hornet's nest. From the sound of the gunshot and the stream of light, it was obviously inferior to the condensed bullet of the 7th grade. Definitely. The higher the level of the crystal core, the stronger the condensed bullet. Although the power was much weaker, the recoil only shook Xiao Ziji half a meter away, and his shoulder only felt a slight numbness. Lu Qianqian said indifferently, the power of this attack, even a 7th or 8th grade martial disciple with their spirit power fully activated might not be able to withstand it. Is that so? Jun Changshao smiled with satisfaction, not bad, not bad. Xiao Ziji stood up, rubbed his shoulders, and grinned, Sect Master, this disciple should be fine after a while to adapt. Saying this, his smile suddenly froze. What's wrong? Jun Changshao and the other disciples followed his gaze. They saw a group of hornets gathered at the place where the hornet's nest was broken. Their bodies flashed with red light, and there was a buzzing sound. Not good. Li Qingyang said in shock, it's the poisonous hornet. Poisonous hornet. A small group of ferocious beasts. Although their level was low, their group attack power was very strong. Not to mention a martial disciple, even a martial master might not dare to provoke them. Li Qingyang had just opened his mouth when Sect Master Jun had already taken a big step forward, and shouted, why are you still standing there foolishly, run. Swish. Swish. The disciples hurriedly followed in a panic. Buzz buzz. The hornet swarm suddenly rushed over. Their stingers flashed, and their small eyes were filled with anger. Aya! Tian Qi screamed, my butt. Ah! Li Fei was chased by dozens of hornets. He hugged his head and fled, and even released his spirit power to isolate the attack. In the end, he was still hit by the omnipresent stingers. Su Xiaomao ran the fastest. However, the hornets that flew over could shoot their stingers, and in an instant, they pierced his butt, and there was a scream of, ah! Dusk came. The group returned to the sect. Except for Lu Qianqian, the other disciples were all stung by the hornets. Especially Xiao Ziji. His lips were stung, and were swollen like 2 sausages. Jun Changshao was also stung, and it was on his eyelids. The bulging bumps almost squeezed his eyes into a line. Sect Master. Li Qingyang covered his stung butt, and collapsed, next time, don't let junior brother Xiao hit the hornet's nest. Chapter 105. With enough crystal cores, Xiao Ziji returned to the sect and spent more time practicing his marksmanship. He even hid in the bushes at the back of the mountain all night, waiting for animals to appear at night. Shooting stationary targets was nothing. The best marksmanship was shooting moving targets. Bang! Bang! In the middle of the night, gunshots could be heard occasionally. In the study, Jun Changshao was not in the mood to sleep. He continued to refresh the shop. Now that he had 355 contribution points, he could use them to his heart's content for a while. Ding! Contribution points, 345500. After the refresh, an item called, Magically Modified Shoulder Guard, appeared in the list of items that were displayed. He clicked on the details. Item, Magically Modified Shoulder Guard. Effect, after wearing it, it can form a defense around the shoulder. It can counteract the recoil of magically modified rifles and sniper rifles to a large extent. Effectiveness, bring it and use it immediately. Price, 20 contribution points. Jun Changshao murmured, counteract recoil. This is good stuff. Without hesitation, he bought it. Ding! Host has spent 20 contribution points. Magically Modified Shoulder Guard X1. It has been transferred to the interspatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 325500. Jun Changshao continued to refresh, but his luck was very bad. He did not get anything good and was forced to spend 10 contribution points to buy an extreme skipping rope. He refreshed again. Ding! Contribution points, 295500. The item that appeared this time was not bad. There was a high-level mortal martial skill called Rupturing Fist. Although its level was low, the Iron Bone sect was in urgent need of martial skills. Therefore, Jun Changshao still spent 10 contribution points to buy it. Ding! Contribution points, 285500. Ding! Detected that host has purchased a fist martial skill from the shop. It is automatically matched with the sect's martial skill. The words Rupturing Fist, high-level mortal martial skill, appeared on the system's data panel. It meant that the disciple could practice it. Jun Changshao made 1,000 copies and murmured, level 10 and above meridian opening can practice it. I'll send it to the disciples tomorrow. The next day. Under the influence of the divine music, the disciples finished their morning exercises happily. Then, each of them received a secret manual of the exploding fist, which made them even happier. Jun Changshao gave the magically modified shoulder pads to Xiao Ziji and gave the extreme jump rope to Su Xiaomo. Thank you, Sect Master. The two said. Xiao Ziji put on the shoulder pads and arrived at the back of the mountain. He held up the Type 88 sniper rifle and pulled the trigger. But he only heard a bang sound. His body only trembled a little, but he did not fall back. So powerful. His eyes widened. As he spoke, he stood up and retracted his kickstand. Then, he raised his gun and said, "It shouldn't be a problem to stand and fight, right?" Boom, he pulled the trigger again, and the moment the bullet flew out, Xiao Zuiji was pushed back a few meters. He then staggered and stabilized his body. He grimaced and said, "It hurts." Without the support of a kickstand, the recoil of the Type 88 sniper rifle would definitely be greater. Fortunately, he had the magically modified shoulder pads. Otherwise, if he fired a shot, he would probably end up hanging from the southeast branch. On the training field, Su Xiaomo held the extreme jump rope and said, "Sect Master gave me this. Do you want me to jump rope?" Shwa. As he spoke, he jumped down. Then, his arms began to spin on their own, and his legs began to shake uncontrollably as well. Shwa. 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 His speed increased and light flashed. Damn! The disciples gathered around and said in surprise, "Senior brother Su is jumping so fast." Half an hour later, the frequency of jumping rope decreased and then it stopped. Thump. Su Xiaomo's legs trembled and his whole body collapsed on the ground. His eyes rolled back and white foam came out of his mouth. The extreme jump rope was used to train the strength of the legs. Once the user jumped, it would force the user to jump for an hour. The disciples continued to train as usual. Jun Changshao was also immersed in his training. Occasionally, he would take a qi-gathering pill to increase the speed of his spiritual energy absorption. A few days later, his realm went from level 7 to level 8. If he meets a beast like the Earth Fire Wolf King again, he won't even need to use a gun. He can tear it apart with his bare hands. Inside the training room, Jun Changshao focused his spiritual energy on his right arm and used the rupturing fist that he learned. With a bang sound, he hit the testing machine. The strength displayed was 23,000 pounds. Tisk, it actually increased by 3,000 pounds, after breaking through to level 8 martial disciple, without relying on spiritual energy, his physical strength is around 20,000. After using the rupturing fist, it increased by 3,000 pounds. The system said, this is only common rank. If there is a higher rank martial skill, the host's strength will increase even more. Jun Changshao also wants to train a higher rank martial skill, but he needs to rely on his luck to get one. Bang! Suddenly, a gunshot came from the outer courtyard. Jun Changshao hurriedly went out and saw the Type 88 sniper rifle on the newly built watchtower. There was a wisp of smoke coming out of the muzzle. What happened? He said in a low voice. Xiao Ziji stood on the watchtower, pointed at the direction of the gun and said, "Sect Master, a black-clothed man tried to sneak in and was shot by this disciple." Jun Changshao hurriedly went out of the sect. Sure enough, a few hundred meters away, he saw a black-clothed man lying on the grass. His chest was pierced and blood flowed out. He couldn't be more dead. This assassin was moving at high speed, but he was killed by Xiao Ziji in one shot. It can be seen that his marksmanship is very accurate. Unfortunately, I didn't trigger a side quest. Jun Changshao shook his head, took the other person's interspatial ring and burned it with the exquisite fire. Drizzle building, you guys are really diligent. With Xiao Ziji on guard, Jun Changshao doesn't need to open the sect protection formation every night. He can save some contribution points. Sect Master. The next day, Li Qingyang came to see him. These few days, 4 more junior brothers have broken through to martial disciple. This disciple has already distributed the self-severing manual to them. How's Xing Chen's cultivation? Jun Changshao asked. As the sect master, he must be concerned about the growth of every disciple. Li Qingyang said, "Yesterday, I saw junior brother Yi testing in the training room. There were 7 flashes of light on his wrist. He should have broken through to channel opening stage 7. So fast." Jun Changshao was surprised. Calculating the time, Yi Xingchen joined the Iron Bone sect for less than a month, but he has already broken through from channel opening stage 1 to channel opening stage 7. His speed is much faster than the other disciples. Li Qingyang said seriously, "Sect Master, junior brother Yi is not simple." Jun Changshao rubbed his nose and smiled. This person's eyes are full of vicissitudes, as if he has experienced many things. That's why I forced him to join the sect. Li Qingyang said, "Junior brother Yi is a loner and doesn't fit in with the other junior brothers. This disciple is worried that when his cultivation becomes stronger, he will not be content." Jun Changshao interlocked his fingers and smiled, "Don't worry, even if that guy breaks through to Martial Emperor, I will still be able to subdue him. As the sect master, if he can't deal with a troublesome disciple, how can he be the sect master? He might as well kill himself and scatter flowers." Sect Master. At this moment, Su Xiaomo ran in, gasping for breath. "There's someone outside. They say it's Murong Xian from the Murong family." What? Jun Changshao and Li Qingyang were shocked. A few days ago, they were still talking about her. Who would have thought that she would come today? Is it because of Xiao Ziji? They don't come with good intentions. Jun Changshao frowned. Chapter 106. Outside the sect, a 16-year-old girl in blue stood there. Her skin was as white as snow, her figure was slender, her face was oval-shaped, and her eyebrows were like willow leaves. In terms of appearance and temperament, she was not weaker than Lu Qianqian. Murong Xin. A direct descendant of the Murong family in Sky Sea City. She had a top-grade spirit root and was the direct disciple of the 11th elder of the Lily Holy Sect. Her other identity was Xiao Ziji's ex-fiancé. This kind of beautiful and talented girl appeared in front of the Iron Bone sect, which was unexpected. Murong Xian gently raised her head, her eyes looked at the man standing on the sentry post in the distance, and whispered, "It's really him." Some time ago, she went back to Sky Sea City to visit her relatives. She heard that her ex-fiancé participated in the martial arts competition in Azure Sun County and won the championship. This time, when she returned to the sect, she specially came to take a look. Xiao Ziji also looked at Murong Xian, and said with a sullen face, "Why is this woman here?" The memory of 5 years ago appeared. It was in the hall of the Xiao family, in front of all the clansmen, accompanied by the elders of the Lily Holy Sect, Morong Xin said faintly, "I'm here to break off the engagement." The cold and proud words were like a sharp arrow that deeply pierced Xiao Ziji's heart, making him feel pain every time he thought of it during the 5 years of wandering. Xiao Ziji had no feelings for his ex-fiancée. After all, they were engaged before they were born, and he only saw her once when he was young. But a woman came to break off the engagement, and in public, it was undoubtedly the same as ruthlessly trampling on his dignity. He could accept that a genius became a waste. He could also accept that he was expelled from the family. But he couldn't accept that when he was in trouble, even his fiancée came to kick him into the abyss. Seeing Morong Xian again and thinking of her proud face, Xiao Ziji really wanted to move the muzzle of the 88 sniper rifle and pull the trigger. Creak. At this time, the red door opened, and Su Xiaomao waved his hand and said, "Miss Morong, please come in." Morong Xian frowned, "Your sect master, won't you personally welcome me?" His voice was filled with arrogance. He had the right to be arrogant. After all, with his status as a direct descendant of the Morong clan, he would be welcomed by the higher-ups of the various sects in Azure Sun County. Even the Five Streams Green Mountain sect had to be courteous to the Lily Holy Sect. "Oh, shit. This woman is quite arrogant, huh?" Su Xiaomao unhappily said, "Miss Morong, you're only a direct descendant of the Morong family. Why would my family's head personally welcome you?" Clan head and sect head, their statuses were equal. When a direct descendant of the clan came to visit, there was nothing wrong with the sect leader not coming out to welcome him. "Are you entering or not?" Su Xiaomao said impatiently, "If you don't enter, I'll close the door." "Humph," Morong Xian snorted coldly and walked in. Her eyebrows were filled with anger. She thought to herself, a ninth-rate sect really thinks too highly of themselves. After walking in, she saw the spacious outer courtyard and the magnificent main hall. A trace of surprise flashed in her eyes as she said, "This iron bone is quite imposing." It's just that, looking at the disciples cultivating in the martial arts field, she disdainfully said, "Mediocre talent, low cultivation. No matter how luxurious the sect is, it's just a low-level existence." From this woman's arrogant behavior, it was enough to prove that Jun Changxiao's guess was right. She came with ill intentions. In the main hall, Morong Xian walked in and saw a young man in white sitting at the head of the table. She said lightly, "You're the head of the Iron Bone sect." "That's right." Jun Changxiao put his elbows on the armrest and clasped his fingers together. He smiled and said, "I've long heard that my disciple has an extremely beautiful fiancée. Seeing you today, you really live up to your reputation." Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. "My dear sect head, you mentioned the word fiancé. Aren't you deliberately provoking her?" "As expected." Morong Xian's pretty face suddenly became cold. She said, "Sect head Jun, I've already broken the engagement with Xiao Ziji. Please don't joke about it." "That's right, that's right." Jun Changxiao patted his forehead and pretended to remember. He said, "I forgot. My disciple and Miss Morong are no longer engaged. Sigh, I'm old and my memory is not good." It was an embarrassing and clumsy performance. "Miss Morong." Jun Changxiao went back to the topic. He said, "Why have you come to the Iron Bone sect this time?" "Nothing." Morong Xian said lightly, "I heard that sect head Jun's disciple took the top 4 places in the sect's martial arts competition. I've come to see if there's anything special." Jun Changxiao said, "I see. Qingyang, call your junior brother Xiao over. Let him accompany Miss Morong and take a good look at the Iron Bone sect." Li Qingyang was a bit depressed. "Sect head." Xiao Ziji appeared at the door of the main hall. He said, "I'm here." In the peach forest at the back of the mountain, Morong Xian stood in front of a peach tree. Her white fingers gently touched the peach blossoms on the branches. Xiao Ziji squatted on a rock. The Type 88 sniper rifle was wrapped in a black cloth and placed next to him. The gun never left his side. The woman's beauty was unparalleled. The man was handsome. It was as if they were a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, under the beautiful scene, there was a solemn atmosphere. After a long time, Murong Xian put her hands behind her back and looked at Xiao Ziji. She said, "You haven't opened your meridians yet." Her tone was much calmer. It was not as arrogant as before. Xiao Ziji said lightly, "Miss Murong, whether I open my meridians or not, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with you." Murong Xian was silent for a moment. She changed the topic and said, "I told Grandpa that I wanted to break off the engagement. But he didn't agree. So don't blame me for going to the Xiao family to break off the engagement." And, she paused and said, "I really didn't know that your spirit root and cultivation would regress. I also didn't know your situation in the Xiao family at that time." Xiao Ziji said lightly, "It happened a long time ago. You don't have to explain it to me." Murong Xian picked a peach blossom and touched the petals. She said, "In these 5 years, everyone thought that I, Murong Xian, went to the Xiao family to break off the engagement because my fiancé lost his aptitude and cultivation." As she said that, she threw a bottle of pills over. There are 10 unblocking meridians pills that can increase the chances of opening meridians. Just treat it as compensation for the impulsive me when I was young. Are you pitying me? Xiao Ziji said. Murong Xian didn't say anything. Xiao Ziji said self-deprecatingly, "You, Murong Xian, are a proud daughter of heaven. I, Xiao Ziji, am now just a waste. Naturally, I can't afford it. Please take away the unblocking meridians pills." Xiao, the happy football shot over and directly hit his face. Then came Jun Changxiao's scolding. "Stand up for me." Swish. Xiao Ziji got up, clenched his fists, and said word by word, "Murong Xian, the humiliation you gave me 5 years ago, sooner or later, Xiao Ziji, will go to the Lily Holy Sect to get it back. Add a deadline." Jun Changxiao's voice came. 10 years. Too long. 9, okay, 3 years it is. Xiao Ziji, Murong Xian raised her black hair and said with a smile, 3 years later, you will come to the Lily Holy Sect to find me? Yes. Xiao Ziji's eyes were cold. 3 years later, I will bring the divorce letter to the Lily Holy Sect and tell everyone that it was I, Xiao Ziji, who divorced you, not you, Murong Xian. Murong Xian was startled. She saw an unprecedented determination in this man's eyes. Even when she first met him, he didn't have this kind of determination. 3 years, huh? Murong Xian said lightly, okay, I will wait for you at the Lily Holy Sect. After saying that, she turned and left. The broken peach blossoms fluttered, and the petals gradually separated in mid-air. It seemed to represent that the once perfect couple had completely parted ways today. Miss Murong. Jun Changxiao's voice echoed in the back mountain. Forgive me for not seeing you off. Chapter 107. After Murong Xian left, Xiao Zui placed the meridian unlocking pill on a rock, as if she regretted her impulsiveness or took pity on him. He did not want it because he did not want to accept a gift from a woman who had hurt him. Jun Changxiao walked over and put the pills into his spatial ring without any trace of politeness. He said, 3 years. Work hard on your cultivation. Sect leader. Xiao Ziji said, I have nothing to do with her anymore. Do I have to go to Lily Saint Sect in 3 years? Jun Changxiao patted his shoulder and said, Zui Ji, you're fighting for your dignity now. You're not going to prove that you're better than her in the future. You're just going to tell her that she must take back what she lost with her own hands. What I lost? Xiao Ziji muttered. What did he lose? Dignity. A man's dignity. Xiao Ziji clenched his fists and said with a firm gaze, "Sect leader, I understand. I will train hard, not to prove that I am better than others, but to take back what I lost with my own hands." "Work hard, young man," Jun Changshao said. Returning to the main hall, he leaned back on the chair. "Zue Ji, your agreement with Morong Xin is actually a kind of spur to you to become stronger. I hope you will not disappoint me." Helping his disciple set a 3-year agreement, although it was suspected that he was going to slap Morong Xion's face, but more importantly, it was to set a goal for him, a goal that he had to constantly strive for. For example, to become rich, he had to earn 100 million. Sigh. Jun Changshao stretched. Training a disciple is indeed not an easy thing. As he spoke, he took out the meridian unlocking pill and muttered, "It can increase the chances of opening meridians. This pill seems pretty good." The system said, "Host can decompose and refine it from Medicine Refinery Pavilion, or obtain the pill formula. There is such a function." Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the system's data panel and opened Medicine Refinery Pavilion. Under the 4 types of pills, a line of words appeared out of thin air. The content was Meridian Unlocking Pill, decomposable. Decompose. Ding. Host decomposed pill, 10 contribution points consumed. Ding. Sect contribution points, 265,500. As expected, as long as the system reminded him out of kindness, he would have to spend some contribution points. Ding. Decomposition successful. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Meridian Opening Pill formula. The Meridian Unlocking Pill appeared on the panel of the Alchemy Pavilion. After clicking on it, 4 types of medicinal herbs appeared. Rubbing his nose, Jun Changshao smiled. Using 10 contribution points to decipher the formula of the Meridian Unlocking Pill. This is definitely a profit. With the addition of the Meridian Unlocking Pill to the Medicine Refinery Pavilion, it was a step closer to perfection. Of course, he needed materials to refine it. Therefore, Jun Changshao decided to make a trip to Huyang City in 2 days. Right now, the most important thing is how to open sinful self's meridians. There was ultimately a limit to the strength of the body. Xiao Ziji had to open his meridians and condense his spirit energy in order to go further. Otherwise, how could he carry a gun and fight with others all day long? It wasn't impossible. However, with the help of spiritual energy, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, "We have to figure out why this kid can't cultivate." "That's right. We can buy an aptitude modification liquid and let him consume it. Forcefully raise his spiritual root from a low-grade to a mortal-grade spiritual root. Maybe he can open his main meridians." As soon as he thought of it, Jun Changshao directly selected the aptitude modifying liquid suitable for low-grade spiritual roots. Ding! The host has spent 50 contribution points and obtained the aptitude modification liquid X1. It has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 215500. In order to make the disciple stronger, in order to regain his lost dignity after 3 years, sect leader Jun was really giving it his all. In the training room, Xiao Ziji held the aptitude modification liquid. After knowing the effects, he was stunned on the spot. After a long time, he said in disbelief, "Sect leader, after drinking it, can it really raise the aptitude of the spiritual root?" Jun Changshao said, "Stop talking nonsense and drink it quickly." Xiao Ziji opened the bottle and raised his head without hesitation. He drank the malt-flavored medicine and the meridians in his body seemed to be burning. Huff huff huff. He breathed heavily, and his exposed skin gradually turned red, like a piece of charcoal that had been burned red. What's going on? Jun Changshao was stunned. He had drunk a few bottles and this had never happened. Could it be that this kid had an allergic reaction after drinking it? The system said, This is the aptitude modification liquid condensing spiritual energy, helping him to raise the spiritual root and gather spiritual energy for breaking through the meridians. Sizzle sizzle. At this moment, Xiao Ziji's red skin began to emit a strange mist. It smelled a little pungent. The system said, "This is poisonous gas." Poisonous gas. Jun Changshao took 2 steps back vigilantly. The system said, "If I'm not wrong, this disciple of yours should be poisoned." Poisoned? Jun Changshao said solemnly, "Could it be that this is the reason why he can't cultivate?" The poisonous gas in Xiao Ziji's body spread and filled the entire training room. Fortunately, it was only pungent and did not cause any harm. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, "There's poison in his body and he can't cultivate. The situation seems to be very clear." Bang! At this moment, a sound came from Xiao Ziji's body. A slightly weak halo gathered around his wrists. This was the sign of a meridian opening. Thump! Thump! Xiao Ziji's heart beat violently, causing his chest to rise and fall. The spreading poisonous gas also seemed to gradually evaporate under the heat of his body. As for the halo gathered around his wrists, it changed from a blurry state to a clear state and finally solidified. One meridian opened. Jun Changshao said happily. Just as he finished speaking, a second halo appeared on Xiao Ziji's wrists. Obviously, the spiritual energy in his body had already opened a second main meridian. An hour later, the poisonous gas in the training room completely dissipated. Everything returned to normal. Xiao Ziji was as tall and straight as a mountain. For resplendent lights gathered around his wrists. After taking the aptitude modification liquid, his spirit root had risen from low grade to common grade. The increase in aptitude had stimulated his meridians, allowing him to break through to the 4th stage of meridian opening in one go. Sect. Sect Master. Looking at the spiritual halo that hadn't appeared for 5 years, Xiao Ziji's hands trembled violently. His voice was nearly hoarse as he said, "D. Disciple opened his meridians, not bad." Jun Changshao said, "You opened your meridians." Xiao Ziji closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He tried his best to control his emotions, but tears still gathered in his eyes uncontrollably. Swish. Suddenly, his knees bent. But before he could kneel, Jun Changshao held him up and said, "Use your future strength to spread the might of my iron bone. This is the best way to thank me. Stand up." Swish. Xiao Ziji straightened his bent knees and wiped away the tears on his cheeks. He said loudly, "Disciple Xiao Ziji will definitely not disappoint Sect Master. In the future, I will strengthen the name of my iron bone and spread the might of my iron bone." Jun Changshao patted his shoulder and said, "I have high hopes for you." Ding! The first 100 disciples have successfully opened their meridians. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, Reaching Heights. The reward is 50 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 265500. Jun Changshao walked out of the training room. He was speechless as he thought to himself, the first 100 disciples have successfully opened their meridians. If Xiao Ziji didn't open his meridians, would he never be able to complete it? The system said, yes. This hidden mission is really fucked up. Chapter 108. Even though Xiao Ziji's meridians were opened, what Jun Changshao didn't understand was it because of the poison that caused his realm to regress, causing him to be unable to gather spirit energy? The system said, from the poisonous gas just now, it should be caused by poison. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin. It's understandable that the poison would cause his realm to regress, but how could a supreme-grade spirit root regress? If the poison in his body can suppress his spirit root, now that it has been removed, he should have recovered, not just opened 4 meridians. He rubbed his temples. Yuan Fong, what do you think about this? The system, Jun Changshao said, "I'm asking you, say something." The system then realized that Yuan Fong was referring to itself, so it said, "Falling Star Continent is a mysterious world, maybe there are poisons that can suppress cultivation in spirit root." The poison is removed, but why didn't his spirit root and cultivation recover? Jun Changshao asked. The system was silent for a while, then said, "Maybe there's more than one type of poison in his body." What the host removed was only the poison that suppressed his cultivation, but there's also the poison that suppressed his spirit root. That's possible. Jun Changshao was silent. If that's the case, who would be so vicious as to use two types of poison to destroy Xiao Ziji, who was supposed to be a genius? The Xiao family's elder. Jun Changshao thought of the Xiao family's head elder who was filled with killing intent towards Xiao Ziji during the sect competition. And that group of assassins outside Liang City, who sent them. He held his head, saying, "Damn, I feel like my IQ isn't enough." Yuan Fong, are there any products that can develop brain power? The system said, no. After Xiao Ziji successfully opened his meridians, he temporarily gave up on spear practice and spent the whole night running Yi Jin Jing, gathering spirit energy around him. Even though he only had a mortal grade spirit root, and the absorption was far from the supreme grade spirit root, he was satisfied. After all, it was much better than not being able to gather spirit energy. Spirit energy entered his body, spreading and gathering along his meridians. Xiao Ziji once again found that refreshing feeling of cultivation. Of course. He also knew that everything was given to him by the sect leader. In this life, he was willing to serve the Iron Bone clan. Lily Holy Sect. In another disciple's room, Yi Xingchen finished his cultivation and said disdainfully, "Back when I dominated the Falling Star Continent, we were only a fifth-rate sect." Sigh. Our Lord Knight the Arch is still immersed in the past and unable to come out. Who? He exhaled and murmured, "The Taishan Sutra is truly profound. I've studied it for so long, but I've only comprehended the first layer. Fortunately, I have the assistance of the body metamorphosis scripture. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for me to break through to the 7th level of the channel opening realm in such a short period of time." He really had to thank him properly. Without Yi Jin Jing's 50% meridian opening rate, with Night Emperor's current aptitude, it would have taken him a long time to achieve it. I can't just focus on cultivation. I have to combine it with actual combat. Tomorrow, I'll go to the forest with ferocious beasts to gain some experience. The next day, Night Emperor told his idea to Jun Changshao. After some consideration, the latter said, "Go with your senior martial brother Xiao. We can take care of each other. Him. He's just trash." Although Yi Xingchen was very conflicted, he still agreed on the surface. After all, he was now an Iron Bone disciple. Just like that, a powerhouse was reborn, and a genius turned into a waste. They set out to leave the sect and begin the essential wilderness training that should only be done by the protagonist. Xiao Ziji brought along his Type 88 sniper rifle. Not only did he have to practice in actual combat, but he also had to take advantage of the opportunity to hunt for cores to make up for the sect leader's previous losses. Our sect leader Jun handed over the sect's affairs to Li Qingyang and set out for Huyang City. Sect leader Lu Wancher stood at the entrance of the dining hall and shouted, "Bring back some seasoning." Understood. When Jun Changshao arrived at Huyang City again, he found that it was much more lively than last time. Occasionally, he would meet martial artists with weapons. Can't the AI clan hurry up? They have to wait a month before auctioning it. The AI clan can refine this kind of healing pill that can instantly heal injuries. They even put it up for auction. What's the big deal about waiting a period of time? I heard that several large clans and sects have sent people over. Poor people like us can only stand on the sidelines and watch the competition between them. The martial artists on the road discussed incessantly. Obviously, they were all foreigners who had gathered in the city to wait for the AI clan to auction the healing pills for the second time. Many clans and sects had gathered their strength. Once the pills were put up for auction, they would get it no matter what price they had to pay. It had to be said that the AI clan was very good at doing business. After the first auction and continuous publicity, they had successfully whetted the appetite of the martial artists in the various counties. The auction of the healing pills had nothing to do with Jun Changshao. He was also too lazy to show his face in public. Therefore, he went to the market first and bought a lot of seasoning before entering the AI clan's medicine shop. Shopkeeper Ma, who was paying the bill at the counter, saw Jun Changshao walk in. He didn't wait for the servants to greet him. He personally walked out and said with a smile, "Sect leader Jun, we are honored by your presence. Please forgive us for not going out to meet you." Before the first auction, the AI clan master had already ordered that the Iron Bone sect leader was a VIP of the AI clan. If he came to the shop, they must not neglect him. Jun Changshao said, "Where is the AI clan master? I want to talk to him about a big business deal." "Another big business deal?" Shopkeeper Ma hurriedly made a gesture of invitation and said, "Sect leader Jun, please take a seat. I will inform the clan master now." As he spoke, he gave the servant a look to serve tea and hurriedly left the shop for the AI clan. Jun Changshao didn't sit down. He went to the medicine rack and looked at the medicinal herbs in the bamboo basket. When he saw something that caught his interest, he raised his hand to touch it. "Don't touch it." Suddenly, a voice came from behind him. Jun Changshao turned around and saw a white-haired old man in the corner of the shop holding a small pair of scissors and trimming a potted plant. "Crazy old man." The servant in the shop scolded, "This is sect leader Iron Bone sect leader Jun, don't be rude." As he spoke, he hurriedly smiled apologetically and said, "Sect leader Jun, he is a temporary worker who was hired to trim the medicinal herbs a few days ago. He doesn't know the rules. Please don't lower yourself to his level." Jun Changshao curiously asked, "Why can't I touch it?" The old man didn't even raise his head. As he trimmed the medicinal herbs, he said, "That medicinal herb is called rotten leaf grass. Its leaves gather spiritual energy. If a person touches it, the spiritual energy will decay and the medicinal effect will be greatly reduced." TSK The servant rolled his eyes and said, "I move the rotten leaf grass here and there every day. I come across it many times. Can't I still use it to refine pills?" "You crazy old man are talking nonsense again." Sigh. The old man sighed and said, "It's because of careless people like you. The medicinal herbs that can be used to 100% of their medicinal effect can only be used to 50% or 60% after being refined into pills. It's really sad." Okay. You are so professional. I don't want to talk to you." The servant seemed to have argued with the old man more than once. He didn't continue to argue with him. Instead, he smiled and said, "Sect leader Jun, please look around." Jun Changshao became interested and said, "Senior, you seem to know a lot about medicinal herbs." The old man stood up and said, "Sect leader Jun is the leader of a sect. I can't accept the title of senior. Elders should be respected." I deserve it." Jun Chang smiled. The old man looked surprised and shook his head. The Falling Star continent has always respected martial arts and seniors. This is the first time I've heard of it. Jun Changshao wanted to continue the conversation, but Ai Shang had already rushed over. As soon as he entered the shop, he cupped his hands and said with a smile, "Sect leader Jun, what brings you here?" Chapter 109. In the parlor. Jun Changshao placed the prescription of the meridian opening pill on the table. He clasped his fingers together and smiled, "Master AI, how many of these ingredients does your AI clan have?" Ai Shang glanced at it and pondered for a moment, "Sect Master Jun, my AI clan doesn't have many of these 4 ingredients. We only have about 300 of each. I want all of them. Jun Changshao said straightforwardly. The meridian opening pill increased the meridian opening rate, and the body metamorphosis scripture also increased the meridian opening rate. Wouldn't the combination be heaven-defying? Therefore, he had to refine them as soon as possible. Ai Shang smiled, Sect Master Jun, please wait a moment. He gave shopkeeper Ma a look, and the latter hurried to the inner courtyard. He then took out a few spatial rings and placed them on the table. The ingredients for the meridian opening pill weren't too precious, so the pharmacy had them in stock. After Jun Changshao inspected the goods, he said, Master AI, name your price. AI Shang said, these ingredients cost a total of 110,000 taels. Sect Master Jun, give me 100,000 taels. If it were any other customer, they definitely wouldn't bargain. But whether or not the AI clan could make a fortune with the healing pill in the future depended on this god of wealth. Jun Changshao said, deal. The two followed the rules and signed. The transaction was completed. Oh right. Jun Changshao pointed at the old man trimming the herbs outside and asked curiously, who is this senior? AI Shang said, a herbalist. Herbalist? Jun Changshao had never heard of it. The original owner lived in Clear Sun Village and later joined the Iron Bone sect. He rarely went out, so he didn't know much about the continent. AI Shang explained, a herbalist is a profession that cultivates and grows medicinal herbs. I see. Jun Changshao understood, no wonder he knows so much about medicinal herbs. AI Shang shook his head, Sect Master Jun, this person is only a grade 3 herbalist. There are many herbalists who are stronger and more knowledgeable than him. Herbalists also had ranks, similar to martial arts, such as disciple, master, grandmaster, and king. It was the same for alchemists and spirit stones. Grade 3 herbalist. It was very common on the Starfall continent. Compared to other professions, herbalists were relatively common. Their status was not considered noble, and they were even jokingly called herbalists. Of course, without them, it would be hard to meet the huge demand of the Starfall continent just by digging for medicinal herbs in the mountains. Therefore, herbalists were indispensable. Many forces would specially hire herbalists to open up herb gardens, cultivate and plant herbs, and become self-sufficient. A grade 3 alchemist is also an alchemist. Don't look down on me, Master AI. The white-haired old man retorted when he heard AI Shang's words. Aya, you crazy old man, how dare you speak to our family head like that? Are you tired of living? The servant rolled up his sleeves and walked over in an imposing manner. AI Shangdi waved his hand and said, leave. The servant glared at the old man before leaving resentfully. Jun Changshao walked out and said with a smile, Senior, my Iron Bone group is still lacking a herbalist. Are you interested in joining? The old man waved his hand and said, there are plenty of herbalists who are better than this old man. Sect Master Jun, please find someone else. TSK, the servant snorted and muttered, it's your fortune to be chosen by Sect Master Jun. You're actually rejecting him. What a crazy old man. AI Shang smiled and said, Sect Master Jun, my AI family has many herbalists. Most of them are grade 7 or grade 8. If your sect lacks one, I can, Jun Changshao interrupted, just let me have this senior. AI Shang's mouth twitched and said, Sect Master Jun, Elder Wei is only a temporary worker of my AI family. Whether he goes or not, it's up to him. Is that so? Jun Changshao said, Senior, I'm willing to hire you at a high price. Are you willing to go to Iron Bone and take up the position of herbalist? AI Shang was a little confused. Grade 3 alchemists could be found everywhere. There were at least 10 of them in the AI family. Why would Iron Bone's sect master take a fancy to this crazy old man? Elder Wei said, Sect Master Jun, you really want to hire me as an Iron Bone herbalist? That's right. Jun Changshao said. Elder Wei put the scissors on the shelf and said, I've been a herbalist for 60 years now. Only Sect Master Jun is willing to invite me. Jun Changshao said, horses of 1,000 li are common, but a talent scout is hard to find. Talent scout. Elder Wei smiled and said, if Sect Master Jun is sincere, I'm willing to go to Iron Bone. But how much is the salary? 10,000 taels a month. Jun Changshao said. Ai Shang was stunned. His grade 8 and grade 9 alchemists only earned 10,000 taels a month. A grade 3 alchemist earning 1,000 taels a month was already very high. Elder Wei said, Sect Master Jun is very sincere. Once I return to my family, I'll go to Iron Bone with you. Jun Changshao said, Ai family head, it shouldn't be a problem for me to take this person with me, right? No problem, no problem. South of the city, in a deep alley. Jun Changshao followed Elder Wei to his residence. The house was very dilapidated and the environment was dark. As soon as he walked in, a group of 8 or 9-year-old children surrounded him and called him Grandpa. They all had innocent smiles on their faces. Jun Changshao said, Elder Wei has many children and grandchildren. He's a lucky man. Elder Wei handed out the candies he bought one by one and said with a loving expression, these are all orphans I've adopted. Jun Changshao was stunned. In this cruel world, it was inconceivable that someone would adopt orphans. Sect Master Jun thought too much of the world of martial arts. In reality, there would always be good people doing seemingly laughable good deeds in any place. Sect Master Jun, Elder Wei said, can you give them a salary in advance? Sure. Jun Changshao took out 1,000 taels without hesitation. After Elder Wei took it, he only gave 300 taels to the older boy. After giving him some instructions, he packed his luggage and left. On the way, Jun Changshao said, Elder Wei, you can actually bring them to the Iron Bone. Elder Wei shook his head and said, this world is very cruel. They have to learn to face it on their own. I can only help them for a while, not forever. So. Jun Changshao said, you gave them a few hundred taels because you don't want them to rely on you too much? That's right. Elder Wei said. This old man must have had extraordinary experiences. Ding. Side quest completed. Host receives 50 contribution points. Ding. Sect contribution points, 313500. After Jun Changshao and Ai Shangyao completed the transaction, the side quest was triggered. The content was hire Elder Wei as an Iron Bone herb refiner. No wonder he was willing to hire him with a monthly salary of 10,000 taels. In fact, even without the side quest, Jun Changshao would still hire Elder Wei. Because his intuition told him that this was not a simple person. Fine. Your Iron Bone herb refiner is a person with a story. We'll just sit and listen to your stories. Sect Master Jun, Elder Wei said, since you're hiring this old man as an Iron Bone herb refiner, does the sect have any medicinal seeds? Go buy them. Jun Changshao said. The two of them went to the medicinal market and bought many kinds of medicinal herbs before returning to the Iron Bone herb refiner. As soon as they returned to the sect, Li Qingyang handed over something and said, Sect Master, 2 hours ago, someone sent a letter. Oh. Jun Changshao took the letter and opened it. On it was written 3 days later, Iron Bone Sect Master is invited to the ruins of the Spirit Springs Sect for a battle. Signed by, Inner Disciple of the Sacred Springs Sect, Mo Shangfei. Li Qingyang said solemnly, Sect Master, this is a letter of challenge. Jun Changshao held the letter in his hand and said with a faint smile, the Sacred Springs Sect can't sit still anymore. They only sent an inner disciple. Aren't they looking down on me, Jun Changshao? Chapter 110. After destroying the Spirit Springs Sect, Jun Changshao had thought that the Sacred Springs Sect would come to find trouble with him, but he did not expect it to be in the form of a letter of challenge. That's right. If Wei Yishi did not play tricks at the beginning and used this method to resolve the grievances between the two sects, how could he destroy the sect? Sect Master. Li Qingyang said solemnly, to be able to become an inner disciple of the Sacred Spring Sect, your talent and strength must be outstanding. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, since you asked me to send a letter of challenge, as the sect master, if I fight, wouldn't I be a laughingstock? Qingyang. He paused and said, you will accept the challenge. Yes. Li Qingyang said. Jun Changshao said, this battle is related to the glory of the sect. No matter what, you must win for me. Li Qingyang shouted, disciple will do his best. In fact, he was quite pressured. After all, the opponent was an inner disciple of the fifth-rate Sacred Spring Sect, and may not be weaker than him in terms of talent and strength. Jun Changshao clasped his fingers together and said, what I want is to win. Yes. Li Qingyang said loudly, 3 days later, disciple will win. Jun Changshao waved his hand and threw over 10 chi-gathering pills and 3 spirit stones, saying, don't worry about anything these 2 days, cultivate well for the battle 3 days later. The 10 spirit stones were obtained from the sect's martial arts competition, and he was unwilling to use them. Now that the Sacred Spring Sect came to fight, he did not hesitate to give Li Qingyang 3 spirit stones, hoping that he can become stronger in the shortest time possible so that he can have a 100% chance of winning. Li Qingyang took the spirit stones and pills, and said with a firm gaze, disciple will not let the sect master down. With that, he left the hall to cultivate. Lu Qianqian leaned on the door and said lightly, why don't you let me fight? Jun Changshao said, Qingyang is steady and can see the big picture. I hope that he can become stronger and more confident to assist me in managing the Ironbone sect. Lu Qianqian said lightly, so, this is the reason that the sect master found for you to be a hands-off shopkeeper in the future. Jun Changshao clutched his chest and collapsed on the back of the chair, pretending to be weak, saying, I can't, my heart hurts. Lu Qianqian rolled her eyes at him and said, the Holy Spring Sect came to fight this time, it shows that they care about the Spirit Spring Sect. Our Ironbone sect and such a sect can be considered to have formed a grudge. Jun Changshao stopped his awkward act and spread out his hands. As long as they don't play tricks, I don't mind playing with them. If these words were heard by outsiders, they would definitely be speechless. Where is he responsible for taking care of it? Sect Master. Please send a few disciples to assist this old man in reclaiming the wasteland. Elder Wei, who had just settled down, did not intend to rest. Instead, he began to perform his duties. Jun Changshao called Su Xiaomua, Tian Qi, Li Fei and others to assist in reclaiming the wasteland. In just half a day, more than 10 acres of wasteland had been plowed by them. The soil was soft and suitable for planting. Elder Wei carefully took out the medicinal seeds. Then, he hunched his body and planted them step by step. Elder Wei. Su Xiaomua said, we'll help you. Elder Wei waved his hand and said, planting medicinal seeds requires a sincere heart to nurture medicinal herbs that gather the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. You little kids are too impatient. Let this old man do it alone. The Ironbone disciples were speechless. Since they were not allowed to help, they left the back mountain and went to cultivate. It was not until dusk came that Elder Wei planted medicinal seeds in more than 10 acres of land. The distance between each medicinal herb and the depth of the hole was very particular. If a peer saw this, they would praise him sincerely professional. Since he had hired Elder Wei, Jun Changshao did not ask any more. Instead, he sat cross-legged in his room and pulled out the alchemy pavilion. After a series of clinking sounds, he refined 300 meridian unlocking pills. This thing together with Yi Jin Jing will definitely open meridians easily. I'll let Dudu try it tomorrow. As he muttered, he waved his hand and took out a spirit stone. Li Qingyang needed to cultivate. He also needed to cultivate because the battle with the Sacred Spring sect meant that he would have to face a fifth-rate sect. His cultivation must improve as soon as possible. How do I use it? Holding the Spirit Stone, Sect Master Jun was dumbfounded. The system said, it's the same as communicating with a crystal core. Communicate with the Spirit Stone and draw out the spiritual energy inside. Slowly refine it and integrate it into the cyclone. Oh. Jun Changshao did as he was told. When his consciousness entered the Spirit Stone, he felt the majestic spiritual energy inside and could not help but exclaim, it's so pure. Nonsense. The system said, if it's not pure, can it be 10,000 taels for one? Jun Changshao ignored it and began to guide the spiritual energy in the Spirit Stone. It gradually formed a soft line and flew out, entering his body through his nostrils. Yi Jing activated and began to refine it slowly. After a night, the Spirit Stone in his hand turned from a crystal to a dull gray. The cyclone in Jun Changxiao's dantian was obviously stronger than before. He secretly exclaimed, if I absorb 4 or 5 more Spirit Stones, breaking through from the 8th grade to the 9th grade will definitely be a piece of cake. Jun Changshao had estimated that even if he took qi-gathering pills and cultivated continuously, it would take at least half a month. Now that he had Spirit Stones, he could break through in 2 or 3 days. It was simply too terrifying. The system said, Spirit Stones are the most important cultivation resource in the falling star continent. Many cultivators have toiled their entire lives for them and even lost their lives. How do I obtain Spirit Stones? Jun Changshao asked. The system said, either find a mine or find a spirit master to refine it from a high-grade crystal core. Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and said, I already have a medicinal master. It seems that I have to find a time to go down the mountain and hire a spirit master. The system poured cold water on him. Spirit master is an extremely rare profession. Even the lowest level of Spirit Apostle is less than 10 in the entire Azure Sun County. If the host really wants to hire one, then be prepared to take out 1,000,000 taels of courage. 1,000,000? That's daylight robbery. The next day, Jun Changshao called Lu Wancher over and said, Dudu, what level are you at now? When are you going to break through your meridians? Lu Wancher said, Sect Master, I'm at the 4th stage of the channel opening stage and have already condensed spiritual energy. I can break through my meridians at any time. Her culinary skills were superb, but her spiritual root was only at the common grade. She also had to be responsible for the meals of her seniors, so she had only reached the 4th meridian when she entered the sect with Yi Xingqian. Here. Jun Changshao said, this is a channel opening pill. It can help you successfully open your meridians. Lu Wancher took the pill and stared with her big round eyes. She said in disbelief, channel opening pill. That's a very expensive pill. Sect Master, are you really going to give it to me? Seeing the little girl's cute appearance, Jun Changshao really wanted to pinch her cheeks. Hurry up and break through. N. Lu Wancher didn't leave. Instead, she sat cross-legged on the floor of the main hall and took the channel opening pill. She operated the body metamorphose scripture. The result, she opened her meridians. To be exact. When the little girl gathered her spiritual energy to break through the blocked meridians, she easily opened them. Hoo! Her spiritual energy passed through the 5th main meridian. Lu Wancher's wrist condensed a 5th ring of light. She couldn't contain her joy and said, Sect Master, I've opened my 5th meridian. She seemed to be too excited. She jumped up and threw herself at Jun Changshao. Shwa! Sect Master Jun took a sidestep and perfectly dodged. Then, he heard a ping sound. The petite Lu Wancher fell to the ground with her arms and legs spread out. This was definitely an instinctive dodging reaction formed after practicing martial arts for a long time. Lu Wancher stood up and rubbed her forehead. Her eyes were full of tears. She said pitifully, "Sect Master, why didn't you catch me? P.S. Thank you for the gifts. Students who have tickets, don't hide them. Throw them all at me. I definitely won't avoid them like the single dog Jun Changshao." Chapter 111. With the combination of the meridian unlocking pill and body metamorphose scripture, Lu Wancher easily opened her fifth meridian. After that, Jun Changshao gathered all the disciples who had not reached stage 12. There were not many of them, only 13. 4 of them were at stage 10, and 9 were at stage 11. It was not that they did not work hard enough, but that they were too unlucky. Sometimes, even with the body metamorphose scripture success rate, they would fail continuously, so the gap between them gradually widened. Seeing that most of their fellow disciples had reached stage 12, the 13 disciples blamed themselves and felt depressed. They felt ashamed of the support the sect leader had given them. Jun Changshao could see this, so he gave each of them 3 meridian unlocking pills and encouraged them. Failure for a while does not mean failure forever. Work hard and you can do it. The system said. The host is becoming more and more like the sect leader. What was this saying? Was I not like the sect leader before? Before, I was very weak and did not have the demeanor of a sect leader. Now that my cultivation has increased, my body has become stronger, and my charisma has been revealed. I really did have the look of a sect leader. But what were the flaws? They lacked the demeanor of someone who had been in a high position for a long time. This kind of temperament was not easy to cultivate. First, the sect leader had to be a true expert. Second, the sect had to be strong. Even if it could not dominate the continent, it had to be powerful. Someone who had been in a high position for a long time was nothing. Since I, Jun Changshao, came to the falling star continent, I will be the strongest sect leader who controls the world and lies drunk on beauty's knees. The system complained, "Single dog, go wash up and sleep." After the 13 disciples took the meridian unlocking pills, 9 of them broke through to stage 12, and the other 4 entered stage 11. What was this? A 100% success rate. The next day, after learning that all the disciples had opened their meridians, Jun Changshao said happily, "When we recruit new disciples, as long as they gather enough spirit energy, opening their meridians will be a small matter." Sinful Self and Xing Chen went out to train. Otherwise, if I gave them a few pills each, they would definitely improve greatly. The combination of body metamorphose scripture and meridian unlocking pills could allow a meridian opening martial artist to have a 100% success rate. This was very terrifying. If this spread out, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Unfortunately, no one knew. In the eyes of many high-level cultivators, Iron Bone was like a lowly ant, slowly climbing up a mountain. The day before the battle, Li Qingyang sat cross-legged in the center of the spiritual energy array. He focused his mind and circulated the tendon-changing scripture. His body was shrouded in layers of spiritual energy, like a cocoon wrapping him up. Su Xiaomua and the others knew that their second senior brother was going to fight with the inner disciples of the Sacred Spring Sect, so they didn't enter the array formation for 2 days, fearing that they would accidentally disturb the battle. Plop. After a short while, the last spirit stone fell to the ground with a dull color because all of its energy had been sucked dry. Who? Li Qingyang took a deep breath and absorbed all the spiritual qi in his body. The moment he opened his eyes, 2 rays of light flashed. 4th grade martial disciple, there shouldn't be any problems. During the martial arts competition, he had already become a rank 1 martial disciple. After returning for a while, he finally became a rank 2 martial disciple. Now, with the help of spirit stones and qi-gathering pills, he had advanced 2 levels in 2 days. As the number 1 genius of Qingyang City, Li Qingyang's aptitude was unquestionable. However, the reason why his cultivation was slow before was that he had to help the sect leader deal with a lot of internal affairs, which indirectly delayed a lot of cultivation time. He didn't have any complaints because this was the sect leader's trust in him. He could only do his best to do everything well. Night came. Li Qingyang walked out of the array formation and entered the training room. He began the final shaping of his body for the battle with the disciples of the Sacred Spring Sect. On the roof of the main hall, Jun Changshao sat on the ridge with his elbows on his legs and his palms folded together. He held his chin with the back of his hand and said, "Qingyang, you've worked hard during this time." Lu Qianqian was cold and indifferent. Xiao Ziji was decadent and depressed. Su Xiaomao was naughty and carefree. All the disciples were talents. However, a sect couldn't rely on the sect leader alone. The steady Li Qingyang was undoubtedly what Jun Changshao needed and liked the most. The reason why he let him fight this time was because he hoped to gather enough prestige to better assist him in leading the sect's junior brothers. The next day, the sky had just brightened. Lu Wanshi cooked early and made a sumptuous breakfast. Ma Yongning and the two assassins brought it to the dining table. After a while, the disciples came to eat. Li Qingyang also came. Although he cultivated for a night in the shaping room, he looked full of energy. Su Xiaomao walked over with a bowl in his hand and said, "Junior brother wishes second senior brother to defeat the disciples of the Sacred Spring Sect and spread the might of my iron bone." As he spoke, he drank the soup in one gulp. Ha! He quickly stuck out his tongue and exhaled, "Hot! Hot!" The other disciples also came to give their blessings. The atmosphere in the cafeteria suddenly became warm. Lu Wanshi, who was wearing an apron, poked her head out from the side of the kitchen. She shook the spoon in her hand and said with a smile, "I especially woke up early today to make a sumptuous meal for second senior brother." Plop! Everyone fell down together. Li Qingyang staggered and supported himself on the table. Black lines appeared on his forehead. A child's words carry no harm, a child's words carry no harm. Not long after, Jun Changshao walked in. After eating a sumptuous meal with the disciples, he brought Li Qingyang, Lu Qianqian, and a few other main disciples on the road without any worries. Yaoyang City, Spirit Spring Mountain. The first time he came, Jun Changshao destroyed the Spirit Spring Sect. The second time, he accepted the challenge. He's here, he's here. Iron Bone really accepted the challenge. I thought that guy wouldn't dare to come against the Sacred Spring Sect. Jun Changshao walked up the mountain with a few disciples and saw many martial artists in different attire gathered outside the ruins of the Spirit Spring Sect. He didn't go down the mountain these few days, so he didn't know that the news of the Sacred Spring Sect challenging his sect had already spread in Azure Sun County. The various sects and martial artists who received the news naturally wouldn't miss it and came to Yaoyang City as early as yesterday. Many sects of the 100 Sect Alliance also came. For example, the Patriarch of the Tiger's Howl School and the Iron Fist gang leader who was punched out by Xiao Ziji. When they saw Jun Changshao and the Iron Bone disciples coming up, the corners of their mouths curled up and a faint sneer appeared. "Brat! Fortunately, you left the alliance. The Sacred Spring Sect is magnanimous and didn't make a fuss about it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have let you go." Hee hee. Jun Changshao smiled and said, "It's just a challenge, but it's even livelier than the grand tournament." This seat is a bit surprised. Sect Master Jun, the Patriarch of the Tiger's Howl School lightly said, "The people of the Sacred Spring Sect are waiting for you at the Spirit Spring Sect's martial field. After you go in, they might give you a shock." After the meeting in Azure Sun City, the 100 Sect Alliance would definitely not welcome Jun Changshao. The reason they came this time was naturally to see how he would be bullied by a fifth-rate sect. Thinking about how arrogant that guy was at the Star Moon Pavilion and the panicked expression he would show when facing the Sacred Spring Sect, the elders of the various sects immediately smiled. The Spirit Spring Sect is just a pile of ruins, how could it scare this seat? Jun Changshao led his disciples and walked forward. As soon as they entered, they saw 3 chairs placed in front of the collapsed main hall. There were 3 people sitting on the chairs. In the middle was a middle-aged man with a resolute face. His hands were clasped together, and his head was slightly lowered. The person on the left was also a middle-aged man. He supported his face with one hand, and his expression was slightly gloomy. On the right was a man with wrinkles on his head. One leg was crossed over the other, and he was picking his ear with his pinky finger, looking very sloppy. Although the 3 had different appearances, they had one thing in common. They were all emitting a vigorous aura, and their cultivation was definitely not weaker than the elders of the Blue Mountain Sect. Jun Changshao touched his nose and thought, if these 3 wore the uniform of the Navy and put on the long cloak of justice, they would be the 3 admirals of the Navy. Chapter 112. The auras of the 3 martial artists sitting in the ruins of the main hall were thick, giving off a very strong feeling. Even the air became oppressive. They were the 3rd elder, 4th elder, and 5th elder of the Holy Spring Sect. Their cultivation was at the Wuzong level. In this battle, they had sent out 3 martial ancestor elders. It seemed that they wanted to tell the world that the Spirit Spring Sect, which was related to the Sacred Spring Sect, could not be destroyed so easily. On the right side of the 3 stood a group of martial artists in blue robes. They were the disciples of the Holy Spring Sect. On the left side, there were many martial artists, including the Lord of Green Sun City, Xie Guankuan, the Alliance Master of the 100 Sect Alliance, Qin Haran, and the 6th-rate Sect Master of Green Sun County. What a great lineup! No wonder the patriarch of the Tiger's Howl Sect had to stand outside. Xie Guankuan secretly said, Sect Master Jun, the Holy Spring Sect sent 3 elders this time. It looks like a battle, but in reality, they are pressuring you. I really can't help you. A 5th-rate sect was a colossus. Although he was the Lord of Green Sun City, he was powerless. Qin Haran and the Sect Master of the 6th-rate sect looked at Jun Changshao with a mocking gaze. Little brat, facing this lineup, can you still be as arrogant as the Star Moon Pavilion? Jun Changshao stopped outside the martial arts field with his disciples. The stone slabs in front of him were burnt black. Wasn't it because he set fire to the Spirit Spring Sect? The 3rd elder, who was sitting in the middle seat, slowly raised his head and said, You are the leader of the Iron Bone Sect. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was loud like a bell. Waves of spirit aura filled the air. Jun Changshao straightened his chest, put his hands behind his back, and calmly said, Yes. The disciples standing behind him, except for Lu Qianqian, also held their heads high. There was not the slightest trace of fear on their faces. What was the Iron Bone Sect's first motto? To be a man of iron bone, to do things of iron bone. Although there were 3 Wuzong-level experts in front of them, and the aura that filled the air made them feel extremely oppressed, their iron bones would not be bent because of this. Xie Guankuan was secretly impressed. The Iron Bones clan, they have iron bones. Even Jun Changshao himself, facing the 3 Wuzong masters, finally understood why the first sect leader named the sect the Iron Bone Sect. At that moment, the great soul of sect leader Wang, who had failed to break out of prison after visiting a brothel, seemed to have appeared in the sky. He opened his wide arms and poured out the Iron Bones buff, allowing them to face a strong enemy without panicking. Humph! Alliance Master Qin sneered and said to himself, pretending to be calm. He thought differently from Xie Guankuan. He thought that Jun Changshao and the Iron Bone disciples were only pretending to be strong. They must be very scared and nervous. Pretending? It didn't exist. If the situation permitted, sect leader Jun would play mahjong with his disciples. The 3rd elder of the Holy Spring Sect clasped his fingers together, and a looming spiritual power appeared. He said in a deep voice, the Holy Spring Sect was also destroyed by you. Spiritual might rippled. If it was an ordinary person, feeling the heavy aura, they would definitely be paralyzed on the ground. Jun Changshao said disapprovingly, "Don't talk nonsense, hurry up and call Verger Glider out to fight with my disciples. You think you're awesome just because you have a strong aura? If you have the ability, come and kill me." The third elder wouldn't kill him because this was an open battle. If he ignored his status and killed him, he would be ridiculed by other sections. Jun Changshao had calculated this point, which was why he was able to meet his gaze without fear. No matter how awesome you are, your aura and eyes can't kill people. The system said, if it's a martial emperor, looking back and smiling can make the host collapse into nothingness. The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. A martial emperor looking back and smiling shyly at him like a woman, that scene is definitely a new material for Ghost Beast. Don't talk nonsense. Xie Guanquan covered his face and collapsed. This kid dares to say anything. Alliance Master Qin and the other sect leaders smiled even more. Yes, this is the arrogance, don't be afraid, keep it up. TSK Tisk. The fifth elder on the right grinned. A ninth-rate sect leader is quite arrogant, no wonder he dared to kill an outer disciple of the Holy Spring sect. The words outer disciple made Xie Guanquan understand that the Holy Spring sect's trip was to tell the world, not for the destruction of the Holy Spring sect, but for the death of their disciples. The other sects have nothing to say about how to deal with the iron bone. Jun Changshao was quite surprised. The outer disciple you said is the patriarch and elder of the Holy Spring sect? Yes. The fifth elder said. TSK. Jun Changshao said. I heard that the Holy Spring sect is a famous righteous sect. I thought that Wei Yishi, who colluded with the bandits and assassins, was just a temporary worker. I didn't expect him to be a disciple of your sect. The third elder's face darkened. Of course. Jun Changshao said again. If the Holy Spring sect thinks that Jun is slandering people, I can take out the letter of Wei Yishi colluding with the bandit Zhou Tianba as evidence. The three were silent. The fourth elder, who had not spoken from beginning to end, said lightly, Wei Yishi and his brothers were just former outer disciples. They were expelled many years ago. Their collusion with the bandits is their own business, it has nothing to do with the Holy Spring sect. A fifth-rate sect also wants face. Jun Changshao cupped his hands. You discovered the bad behavior of the four outer disciples early on and expelled them. The Holy Spring sect is indeed a famous righteous sect. Jun admires you. The corners of everyone's mouth twitched. Xie Guanquan secretly said, this kid's mouth is really powerful, no wonder Situ Wang vomited blood on the spot. Now that Wei Yishi had been labeled as expelled, the Sacred Spring sect naturally could not use the fact that their outer court disciple was killed to look for trouble. Sect leader Jun, the third elder said lightly, it's clearly written in the letter of challenge that the inner disciple of the Holy Spring sect, Mo Shangfei, challenged you, not an iron bone disciple. Jun Changshao shrugged. I'm the leader of a sect. It's not honorable to win against a disciple of your sect, so it's the fairest for disciples to fight each other. Qin Haran looked at him with disdain. As if you can really win against an inner disciple of the Holy Spring sect. The three elders of the Holy Spring sect looked at each other and quickly reached a tacit agreement. The third elder said, if that's the case, then let my sect's disciples experience the skills of the Iron Bone faction's disciples. Shangfei. He waved and said, let's fight. Yes. The disciple named Mo Shangfei walked out. This person was tall and strong, his exposed muscles were very solid. At first glance, one could tell that his strength was extraordinary. Jun Changshao thought to himself, what's his cultivation? The system said, an 8th grade martial disciple, about 17,000 pounds of pure physical strength. So high. Jun Changshao frowned. The previous leader of the Long Blade School, a 9th grade martial disciple, only had a strength of 14,000 pounds. The Holy Spring Sect's disciple was 1 grade lower, but his strength was 3,000 pounds higher. Qingyang. He said in a low voice, the opponent is not weak, be careful. Li Qingyang walked to the center of the training field, a few meters away from Mo Shangfei. He cupped his hands and said, Li Qingyang of the Iron Bone School. The Sacred Spring Sect's fifth elder picked his ears and said indifferently, Sect Head Jun, the disciple my sect sent out is an 8th grade martial disciple. You sent out a 4th grade martial disciple. Aren't you deliberately sending yourself to be abused? Chapter 113. Rank 8 Martial Disciple. Su Xiaoma, Tian Qi, and the other disciples' expressions changed. The difference between rank 4 and rank 8 was too big. Could second senior brother win? Lu Qianqian frowned and said in a low voice, Sect Master, the opponent is too strong. Let me fight. She didn't think that second junior brother could win with Mo Shangfei's strength. Jun Changshao took out a chair from his interspatial ring and sat down. He tapped his fingers on the armrest and said, You are the senior sister. No matter when or where, you must have confidence in your junior brother. Lu Qianqian was silent. She stood behind with the other junior brothers. Li Qingyang's talent is not bad, but Mo Shangfei of the Holy Spring Sect also has a high-grade spirit root. He has no chance of winning. Iron Bone is the only one who can take out this disciple, right? Alliance Master Qin and the other sect masters sneered. This was such a good opportunity. If they didn't mock Iron Bone, how could they vent their anger at Star Moon Pavilion? Of course. They didn't think that Li Qingyang was bad. But with the same talent, Mo Shangfei was much better than the other in terms of resources and mentors. If this number 1 genius of Qingyang City joined Blue Mountain Sect, he would definitely be an inner disciple. His achievements would definitely be better than now. Sigh, such a waste of good talent. The elders of the various sects were regretful. But in reality, they were just mocking Iron Bone and Jun Changshao in different ways. Xie Guanquan thought, 2 months ago, Li Qingyang was only a 10th stage meridian opening. Now he is a rank 4 martial disciple. His growth speed is already not bad. You guys are really blind. They weren't blind. They were being black for the sake of being black. Jun Changshao didn't care about other people's mockery. He looked into the distance and saw a flash of light. He thought, Sinful Ji is also here. Yes. Xiao Ziji was also here. He was crouching on a high slope 800 meters away. His body was wrapped in the grass and one of his eyes was stuck to the lens. The muzzle of the Type 88 sniper rifle was already aimed at Mo Shangfei. When he was training in the wild, Xiao Ziji heard about the battle and rushed over in advance. He had been hiding in the bushes for a day and a night. Even the 3 Wuzong experts who came later did not expect a phantom sniper to be hiding in the dark. Sect leader. The gun was ready. Whoever you point at, this disciple will beat them up. Yixingchen lay on a rock far away and thought to himself, if I didn't use the Taishen Sutra to conceal your presence, do you really think no one would notice you lying in the grass? Sacred Spring Sect, Mo Shangfei. Mo Shangfei indifferently reported his name. His tone and eyes were full of disdain. He had heard of Li Qingyang before, but he did not take him seriously. After all, if he joined an unrated sect, he would definitely be slowly assimilated into trash. After reporting each other's names, the battle was supposed to start. However, third elder said, Sect leader Jun, fists and feet have no eyes. If my disciple injures your disciple, please forgive him. Was he trying to tell him that the guy would be very fierce in his attacks? Jun Changshao shook his head and cupped his hands. If my disciple injures your disciple, please forgive him. Qin Haran and the others rolled their eyes. A rank 4 martial artist injuring a rank 8 martial artist was definitely a joke. Third elder was too lazy to argue with Jun Changshao. Instead, he said indifferently, "You may begin." Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, Mo Shangfei took a big stride forward. He gathered spiritual energy in his right fist and punched with great force. It was very fast and very sudden. Bang! Li Qingyang did not have time to dodge. He hastily crossed his arms and took the opponent's punch head-on. Thump thump thump. He frantically retreated more than 10 steps and barely managed to stabilize his body. Judging from the degree of spiritual energy rippling in the air, that guy's punch was at least 20,000 pounds. Phew! Li Qingyang shook his slightly numb arm. Mo Shangfei retracted his fist and said in surprise, "To be able to take my Gale fist without batting an eyelid, your physical defense is not bad. However." He smiled and said, "How many times can I take it?" Swoosh! He rushed over with his movement technique. Before he arrived, his left and right fists frequently swung. Under the support of spiritual energy, they turned into shadows of fists. Middle-tier Gale fist was known for its speed and fierceness. Mo Shangfei had comprehended it to the extreme. When he displayed it, Alliance Master Qin and the others were amazed. Su Xiaoma and Tian Qi's faces changed in shock. If it were them, they would not be able to dodge such a fast fist speed and power. They would definitely be battered and exhausted. Li Qingyang frowned slightly. He crossed his arms again, but with a few bangs, he took all the powerful shadows of fists. His body also retreated step by step. Ta! He retreated to the edge of the martial arts field and stepped on the stone floor with one foot to stabilize his body. Mo Shangfei, who was unforgiving, quickly followed. He rose into the air, and his right fist was supported by spiritual energy. It flashed with light and blasted over. This attack was very strong. Alliance Master Qin and the other sect leaders instantly judged that Li Qingyang could not dodge left and right. He could either retreat or take it head-on. If he retreated, he would lose. After taking a few punches in succession, he would definitely be injured if he took it head-on. At this time, they hoped that Li Qingyang would retreat because it was equivalent to losing. He had lost without making a move from the beginning. They would definitely laugh at him. Jun Changxiao's fingers tapped rhythmically. It was not deliberate because he was panicking, but because his state of mind was really stable. Ta! At this time, Li Qingyang suddenly stepped on the ground with one foot. His right fist was at his abdomen. Spiritual energy crazily poured into his arm from his meridians, and a dazzling light gathered in his fist. Exploding fist. With a cold shout, his right fist suddenly blasted out. At the same time, the light flashed, and a whirlpool was formed 1 meter under his feet. Bang bang bang. The sound of explosions resounded in the martial arts field like a string of firecrackers being lit. Everyone was shocked and surprised. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Li Qingyang's fist, which carried the power of explosion, directly hit Mo Shangfei's fist and sent him flying. Thump thump thump. The inner disciple of the Sacred Spring Sect staggered and fell to the ground. He was forced to retreat more than 20 meters before he could stabilize himself. His eyes were filled with shock as he felt an intense pain from his right fist. The strength of his Gale fist had reached 22,000 pounds. When he faced Mo Shangfei head-on, he was completely at a disadvantage. Alliance Master Qin and the others, who had already prepared a line to mock Iron Bone, were all stunned when they saw Mo Shangfei being beaten back. It was unbelievable that he could still turn the situation around in such a situation. Exploding fist. What kind of martial arts technique was this? Why had they not heard of it? With the cultivation of a 4th-grade martial disciple, he was able to defeat an 8th-grade martial disciple who used the Gale fist. Could it be a middle-grade fist technique? Yi Xingqian, who was watching from the high slope, was secretly shocked. This fist technique is definitely not simple. Swoosh! Suddenly, Li Qingyang rushed over. At the same time, his right fist turned into a palm knife. He poured spiritual energy into his palm and waved it in the air. Swoosh! 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 In an instant, 3 crescent moon-like flowing lights, dragging arcs of light, shot out from 3 directions. Wherever they passed, faint light shadows were left behind. That's right, I slashed. Xie Guanquan exclaimed, spiritual force-type martial arts technique. Qin Haoren and the other sect leaders widened their eyes. Their eyes were finally filled with shock. Even the 3 elders of the Sacred Spring sect, who were sitting calmly on the fishing platform, almost couldn't help but stand up when they saw Li Qingyang slashing out 3 crescent moon-like flowing lights. Spiritual force-type martial arts technique. The Sacred Spring sect also had it, but the lowest level was middle grade. Only martial masters could use it. The weak cyclone in the dantian of a martial disciple was extremely difficult to use. Jun Changshao copied the 5th elder and crossed one leg over the other. He smiled faintly and said, "You don't have to be so surprised, right?" Chapter 114. Li Qingyang's self-slash, a spiritual energy-type martial skill, immediately shocked everyone. Unbelievable. Night Emperor was also shocked. In his previous life, he had practiced many kinds of spiritual martial arts, so he knew the weakness of this kind of martial arts. For example, the sun and moon slash he practiced was also a spiritual martial arts, but the requirement was to reach Wu Xing's level. Moreover, one slash would consume 60% of the energy of the cyclone. What about Li Qingyang? He just raised his hand and slashed out 3 rays of light. The process was too easy. The rupturing fist and the self-chop shocked Yi Xingchen deeply. He realized that the iron bone martial arts were not bad. Breaking through to martial disciple and practicing the martial arts of this sect seems to be better than practicing the martial arts of this emperor. He thought to himself. Yi Xingchen, who was originally only interested in Yi Jinjing, had a strong impression of rupturing fist and self-chop. Swoosh! 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 On the martial arts practice field, 3 rays of crescent light shot out in different trajectories. Mo Shangfei, who had just stabilized his body, suddenly changed his expression. He hurriedly used Gale Fist to meet them. Bang! Bang! His fists collided with the crescent light coming from the left and right, causing his arms to tremble violently. He felt as if his muscles were being torn apart. Mo Shangfei didn't have time to grit his teeth because the 3rd ray of crescent light shot out from the ground. It drew a 90-degree arc from bottom to top and smashed into his chin. Swoosh! The strong force sent his whole body flying. Finally, he fell heavily on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Being able to block 2 self-chop, this Sacred Spring sect inner disciple's performance was not bad. However, the 3rd attack was from a tricky angle. There was no way to dodge it. Damn! Damn it! Mo Shangfei wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stood up. It seemed that his body was very strong. He was only slightly injured after being hit. This was because Li Qingyang didn't use all of his spiritual power. Otherwise, his bones would have been broken if he only used his fists to block the self-chop. The 3 elders' faces suddenly became gloomy. He had thought that his sect's disciple would be able to defeat his opponent easily, but who would have thought that he would be injured by his opponent's successive attacks? Qin Haoren said, although the spiritual energy martial technique is powerful, its weakness is that it cannot be sustained for long. If the Sacred Spring sect disciples can withstand it, there is nothing to be afraid of. The Iron Bone disciple must have used up a lot of energy after using 3 moves in a row. He must be exhausted if he continues fighting. These elders of the 100 Sect Alliance seemed to be discussing amongst themselves, but their voices were very loud. It was obvious that they were reminding the inner disciples of the Sacred Spring Sect not to be impatient and to slowly exhaust him to death. Mo Shangfei didn't need to be reminded. He also knew the weakness of spiritual power-type martial techniques. He shook his arms and said with a cold gaze, "I was careless just now and let you seize the opportunity." This time, he was serious and no longer underestimated the enemy. The fifth elder picked his ears and grinned. The show has just begun. Not bad. Jun Changshao shook his legs and scratched his nose. The show has just begun. Schwa. After adjusting himself, Mo Shangfei rushed over once again. He used the Gale Fist, and his speed was obviously much faster than before. Instantly, more than 10 fist shadows appeared, and the power was quite explosive. Bang! 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 Li Qingyang used the rupturing fist. The sound of firecrackers and the sound of fist fighting spread out together. Faint spiritual energy rippled in the air. In just a moment, the two of them exchanged more than 10 moves with fist techniques. The dust under their feet collided with each other, forming a whirlwind around them and tearing the broken leaves into strips. Bang! The two of them exchanged another punch, and both of them retreated 4 to 5 meters. Li Qingyang stretched out his 10 fingers, and his arms were numb from the shock. Mo Shangfei wasn't any better. This kind of intense confrontation was like a rock hitting a rock. It hurt both the enemy and oneself. Looks like it will be hard to determine the winner in a short time. This is really strange. A 4th grade martial disciple can actually fight evenly with an 8th grade martial disciple. The quality of the fist technique used by the Iron Bone disciple is not low. Otherwise, he would have been defeated long ago. The Holy Spring Sect disciple's realm is high, and the spiritual energy in his cyclone is boundless. It won't be a problem for him to fight a protracted battle. The Iron Bone disciple's hands are shaking. In my opinion, the spiritual energy in his Dantian cyclone has been consumed by 70 to 80%. Swish. Li Qingyang waved his hand and said, "I chop." Whoosh, the crescent-shaped flowing light burst out. He could still use spiritual energy-type martial arts. The sect leaders who were discussing saw the flowing light rushing over, and they were all dumbfounded on the spot. "I chop. I chop." In a very short time, Li Qingyang waved his hand again and slashed out 2 crescent-shaped flowing lights. He used practical actions to fiercely slap a group of big shots in the face and tell them that his spiritual energy was abundant. Bang! 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 Mo Shangfei was alert. He used his body movement to dodge at the first moment. The 3 flowing lights bombarded the stone slabs one after another, smashing them into pieces. This time, it was Li Qingyang's turn to be unforgiving. Taking advantage of the other party's escape, he turned his body sideways and continuously made cutting motions like playing table tennis. Crescent-shaped flowing lights shot out one after another. Watching the crescent-shaped flowing lights fly past their eyes in different arcs on the training field, the expressions on the faces of Alliance Master Qin and the martial artists of the various sects stiffened. A spiritual energy-type martial arts with high consumption was thrown out with a wave of his hand. The scene was simply too frightening. Although Mo Shangfei tried to show off his coquettish movement in the light of the blade and sword, he could only dodge 3 flowing lights and was mercilessly hit by the following flowing lights on his face, shoulders, hands, and feet. Plop. Finally, after being bombarded, he fell on all 4s on the ground. Blood spurted out from the side of his face, and he also rolled his eyes and fainted. Although the power of Li Qingyang's "I chop" was not strong, it could not withstand the wild bombardment. Not to mention an 8th grade martial disciple, even a 9th grade martial disciple would not be able to withstand it. We won. Second senior brother won. Su Xiaoma and Tian Qi were so excited that they jumped up. Although Lu Qianshan was expressionless, she secretly said in her heart, "When we go back, I have to cultivate I chop. This woman was the same as Yi Xingqian. She was only interested in Yi Jing. As for rupturing fist and I chop, although she had them long ago, she never cultivated them. Seeing that his senior brother had one, Xiao Ziji gently raised his head and his index finger also loosened from the trigger. He was always on high alert. If the battle just now was not favorable to second senior brother, he would have killed Mo Shangfei immediately. Junior brother Yi. Xiao Ziji grinned and said, second senior brother 1. TSK, the cold and aloof Knight Emperor said disdainfully, do you have to be so happy after winning against an 8th grade martial disciple? His state of mind was calm because he had not integrated himself into the iron bone. He did not have the Sect's sense of honor. Xiao Ziji was different. He recognized the iron bone, the Sect leader, and his senior and junior brothers. Therefore, the joy brought by Li Qingyang's victory was no less than that of personally winning. Aya. Jun Changshao stood up and said apologetically, fists and legs have no eyes. I'm really sorry to beat up your Sect's disciples like this. The Sacred Spring Sect disciples standing on the left had anger in their eyes. Some of their hands were already on the hilt of their swords. Lu Qianshan took 2 steps forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with the Sect leader. Her jade hand was also on the hilt of her sword. Her pair of starry eyes flashed with coldness. My sister Qian is ruthless and doesn't talk much. Su Xiaoma and Tian Qi also came over. Their hands were on the hilt of cold-edged sword. They glared angrily and did not show any weakness. Xiao Ziji once again approached the eightfold scope. The crosshair locked onto the head of the Sacred Spring Sect disciple closest to the Sect leader. As long as he dared to move, his head would explode. Swords were drawn and bows were bent. The atmosphere was solemn. Chapter 115. The Holy Spring Sect disciples found it hard to accept that Mo Shangfei had fainted, so they placed their hands on the hilt of their swords, as if they were planning to attack. Lu Qianshan and Su Xiaoma were not afraid either. As long as you dare to attack, we will definitely dare to draw our swords. At this moment, the iron bones of the Iron Bones sect were vividly displayed. Once in the Black Wind stronghold, a disciple was greedy for life, and did not hesitate to betray the sect and join the bandits, which made Jun Changshao very disappointed. Now, facing the Holy Spring sect, this disciple did not have the slightest fear, and even dared to roll up his sleeves and face off against a strong enemy, which made him feel even more gratified. I don't expect my disciples to be so talented. I also don't care if my disciples are noble or not. I only hope that my disciples are sincere and see themselves as a member of the Iron Bones sect, living and dying together, sharing riches and honor together. Sect leader Jun, the third elder of the Holy Spring sect, said disdainfully, "What does your disciple mean?" Jun Changshao said indifferently, "What your disciple means is what my disciple means. Don't pretend to be confused." His disciples were all so hot-blooded. If he was scared, how could he be a sect leader, how could he be a main character? Damn it! Isn't it just a fight? This daddy's hard to withdraw blade has long been thirsty. At that moment, Jun Changshao wished he could take off his shirt, reveal the azure dragon on his left and the white tiger on his right, and use the one young finger and lion's roar on his chest, shouting, "Come here." No wonder he was so calm, he had the hard to withdraw blade to rely on. Qin Haoran and the other sect leaders laughed. Daring to talk back to the elder of the Holy Spring sect like this, it would be difficult for you to leave the Spirit Spring sect with your disciples. At this moment, Xie Guanquan came out and advised, "Elder C, sect leader Jun, it's just a spar between disciples, there's no need to be so hostile." He was more inclined towards Jun Changshao, hoping that he could get through this calamity. "Thank you, City Lord." Qin Haoran said indifferently, "Elder C is one of the 8 elders of the Holy Spring sect, a mere sect leader of a 9th-rate sect, speaking in such a tone, isn't it too presumptuous?" Alliance Head Qin. Jun Changshao took out his sect-level waist tag and said indifferently, "Please open your dog eyes and let me see clearly. My Iron Bone sect is now an 8th-rate sect." Qin Haran was furious. "What did you say? You didn't hear clearly." Jun Changshao raised his middle finger and raised his head. "I say, you, the alliance head of the 100 Sect Alliance, are but a dog in front of the Sacred Spring Sect." He wouldn't say anything if he just wanted to make a fool of himself. But if he wanted to fan the flames in a strange way, he had to go straight to the point without going through the proper procedure. As the sect leader of a 6th-rate sect and the alliance head of the 100 Sect Alliance, how could Qin Haran tolerate such humiliation? The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed at all. Tsk tisk. The Sacred Spring Sect's 5th elder said, "An 8th-rate sect dares to humiliate Alliance Lord Qin in such an arrogant manner. It looks like they don't have any dignity in the Azure Sun County." He also knew how to fan the flames, and he was even more adept at it. Crack. Qin Haran clenched his fists and took a step forward. However, just as he took a step forward, he heard a bang from afar. A fist-sized hole appeared on the stone slab a few inches in front of his feet. Swoosh! 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 The 3 elders of the Sacred Spring Sect stood up and looked coldly in the direction where the light came from. They saw a person standing on the slope with a smoking long object in his hand. Xie Guanquan and the leaders of the various sects also looked over, and their hearts were filled with shock. The light was so fast that they almost missed it. Was that a hidden weapon? The 3 elders of the Sacred Spring Sect looked at each other in dismay, their eyes showing a rare solemnity. From the speed and power of the light, they could tell that if they didn't have spiritual energy to protect their bodies, they would be severely injured if they were hit. Everyone. Jun Changshao sat on a chair and crossed his legs. He interlocked his fingers and smiled. "The person above is a disciple of my sect. He's proficient in 36,000 types of hidden weapons. The hidden weapon he's holding is one of them. It's called the Divine Might Flamethrower." Divine Might Flamethrower? Everyone was at a loss. They had never heard of it. Jun Changshao continued, "Sect leader Qin, that was just a warning. If you think my iron bone is easy to bully, I don't mind letting my disciple reward you with another one." There were 3 Wuzong from the Sacred Spring Sect, and Qin Haran was also a Wuzong. Surrounded by strong opponents, he dared to let Xiao Ziji fire as a warning. What courage! Xie Guanquan secretly said, "Sect leader Jun is really amazing." Qin Haran, who was warned, had an ugly expression. After a little consideration, he retracted his leg. When the light exploded in front of him, the power it emitted scared him. It was hard to tell if the Type 88 sniper rifle could kill a Wuzong, but one thing was certain. It was hard to catch it with a high firing rate. It was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but difficult to guard against a hidden arrow. Sect leader Qin was also a little afraid that the disciple would fire another hidden weapon. Moreover, there was no need for him to take the initiative in the matter between Iron Bone and the Sacred Spring Sect. Of course. It was hard to swallow the anger of being described as a dog. Iron Bone and the 100 Sect Alliance had just parted ways. Now, they had completely fallen out. Xiao Ziji's warning shot shocked sect leader Qin and the other sect leaders, as well as the Sacred Spring Sect disciples. Even though they had the urge to draw their swords, they did not plan to attack. After all, there was an Iron Bone disciple who was proficient in more than 30,000 hidden weapons. "Humph," the 3rd elder of the Sacred Spring Sect said indifferently, "Sect leader Jun is so arrogant. I would like to see what you're capable of." The purpose of this battle was to embarrass Iron Bone and let others know that even the disciples expelled by their sect could not be provoked. But now, the disciple they sent out was defeated by an Iron Bone disciple. The plot was different from what they expected. It would be hard for them to just let it go. Therefore, they directly challenged Jun Changshao with their status as sect leader. Qin Haoren and the others sneered. Wuzong-level sect leader challenged this guy to a battle. If he accepted, he would definitely be beaten like a dog. Can I reject? Jun Changshao rubbed his nose and asked. He was not afraid of a battle. After all, there was a talisman that could increase one's strength. The key was that there was no mission. If he won, it would be a loss. A sixth-rate sect leader said indifferently, "You're a sect leader. The one you challenged is an elder of a sect. If you reject, you will be ridiculed by the people of Jianghu." "Oh." Jun Changshao replied. "Damn you. Hurry up and give me a side mission. Let me fight him fair and square." Unfortunately, there was no response. The third elder said indifferently, "Sect leader Jun, do you dare to accept the challenge?" His eyes and tone were full of disdain. Does he think I don't dare to accept the challenge? Jun Changshao thought to himself, what's his realm? How much strength does he have? The system said, first grade Wuzong. It's hard to accurately gauge his strength, but it's at least 200,000 pounds. 200,000 pounds. More than that. That's too high. My strength is around 25,000. Even with a 5 times boost from the talisman, it's still a far cry from his 200,000. The system poured cold water on him. Not only is there a difference in strength between the host and him, there is also a difference in realm. If you accept the challenge, your chances of winning are 0. The difference in strength between martial disciples was not big. It was not rare to beat someone above one's realm. But if a martial disciple were to fight a Wuzong, it would be suicide. Damn it, this is a bit of a dilemma. Do I have to waste the only talisman I have and use it? Ha ha ha. Just at that moment, a burst of laughter came from behind. Elder Ma and a few other disciples of the Tsang Mountain sect strode over and said, Elder C of the Grandmaster realm wants to challenge our little friend Jun, who is only a martial disciple. Sect leader C's face darkened, Ma Yunteng. Chapter 116. Sect leader Jun was in a dilemma as to whether or not to use the unstoppable blade against the Holy Spring sect's third elder when Tsang Mountain sect's elder Ma arrived. Phew! He let out a sigh of relief and said, the opening talisman is safe. Elder Ma Yun walked over and stood shoulder to shoulder with Jun Changshao. He smiled and said, little friend Jun, I didn't expect to see you again so soon after we parted in Qingyang City. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said, Qingyang County is too small, we meet everywhere. Ha ha ha. Ma Yunting laughed and said, what a good, we meet everywhere. Qin Haoren and the other sect leaders' faces changed. Elder Ma called Jun little friend and was talking and laughing. This meant that the two had a close relationship. Damn it. Since when did Little Iron Bone hug Tsang Mountain sect's thigh? Jun Changshao really didn't hug any thigh. He only gave Ma Yunting some pointers which made him feel grateful. When he heard about the Holy Spring sect's challenge, he hurried over. They came at the right time. Otherwise, once our sect leader Jun unsheathed his 40-meter-long blade, it would be difficult to take it back. The 3 elders of the Holy Spring sect had ugly expressions. Could it be that the Tsang Mountain sect had rushed over to support the Iron Bone sect? Elder C. Ma Yunteng said indifferently, although you and little friend Jun are sect leaders, Wuzong is challenging a martial disciple. Don't you feel ashamed? Humph. Elder C said coldly, I was just joking. Elder Ma, don't take it seriously. Haha. Tsang Mountain sect came to make a joke. If they didn't come, then it wouldn't be a joke. So it's like this. Ma Yunting pretended to be enlightened and said, like I said, how could a Wuzong challenge a martial disciple? Alliance leader Qin and the other sect leaders suddenly realized that Tsang Mountain sect wanted to support Iron Bone. They couldn't help but sigh. It was good to have a thigh to hug. Elder C's eyes became gloomy. Song Mountain Sect was also a fifth-rate sect, their strength not weaker than the Holy Spring Sect. If they really wanted to protect Iron Bone, they would have to return without success. Elder C. Ma Yunting said, I've heard a little about the Spiritual Spring Sect. Is your Holy Spring Sect here to denounce us? Elder C said indifferently, Elder Ma, please don't misunderstand. The Wei brothers have long been expelled and have nothing to do with our Sacred Spring Sect. This trip is only to exchange pointers and discuss the Tao with Iron Bone. It's not a punitive expedition. The two of them had a casual conversation, but it felt like neither of them was willing to give an inch. As expected of a fifth-rate sect, their exchange of words was like a battle between two experts. Ma Yunting glanced at Mo Shangfei, who had fainted on the martial arts practice field, and said, if I'm not wrong, your disciple seems to have been defeated, and the result of the sparring has been decided, right? At the mention of this, the faces of the three elders of the Sacred Spring Sect turned even uglier. Jun Changshao seized the opportunity and said, Elder C, if you feel that it's not enough, you and I can send another disciple to have a friendly match. No need. Elder C pulled a long face and said, if fate wills it in the future, let's have another match. Mo Shangfei was the best inner disciple he had brought, but he had been beaten unconscious. If the other disciples went up to fight one-on-one, they definitely wouldn't have an advantage. Elder C glanced at the two elders behind him and cupped his hands, saying, Elder Ma, the sect's affairs are busy, so we'll take our leave first. After saying that, he started to walk away. Perhaps because he had a bellyful of anger, he didn't even bother to greet Alliance head Qin and the others. Wait a moment. However, just as he reached the door, Jun Changshao shouted. Elder C stopped, but didn't turn around. He said, Sect head Jun, is there something else? Jun Changshao also had his back to him. He lowered his head and rubbed his fingers, saying, our Iron Bone Sect's #1 motto is to not reciprocate. Changed again, quickly write it down. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomua slightly closed their eyes, engraving the newest motto in their hearts. If conditions permitted, they might take out a small notebook and write it down. Not reciprocate is impolite. Elder C said in a low voice, Sect head Jun, what do you mean by this? Jun Changshao rubbed his nose and said, 1 year later, this seat will personally lead the sect's disciples to the Holy Spring Sect to exchange pointers and discuss the Tao. Xie Guankuan and the other sect heads immediately widened their eyes. Although there was an extra year, it was undoubtedly a challenge to the Holy Spring Sect. An 8th-rate sect challenging a 5th-rate sect, this was absolutely unprecedented. Elder C said disdainfully, Sect head Jun, to say something unpleasant, your Iron Bone Sect really doesn't have the qualifications to come to my Holy Spring Sect to exchange pointers and discuss the Tao. Indeed. The difference between an 8th-rate sect and a 5th-rate sect was too great. Jun Changshao smiled faintly. I don't have the qualifications now, but that doesn't mean I won't have the qualifications a year later. Good. Elder C said straightforwardly. My Holy Spring Sect accepts the challenge. 1 year later, we will wait for Sect head Jun and our disciples to come to Holy Spring Mountain to exchange pointers and discuss the Tao. However, Elder C's eyes darkened. When the time comes, Sect head Jun must not miss the appointment. Jun Changshao said, Elder C, please rest assured. My Iron Bone Sect's first mission is to be civilized, harmonious, honest, and friendly. We will not do anything that goes back on our word. The cultivators present all twitched their mouths. They even wanted to take the liberty to ask, Sect head Jun, how many of your Iron Bone Sect's first missions are there? Elder C said indifferently, 1 year later, my Holy Spring Sect respectfully awaits the arrival of Iron Bone Sect. After saying that, he waved his sleeves and angrily left with the other elders and disciples. He had originally wanted to punish Iron Bone Sect in front of everyone, but in the end, his inner disciple had been beaten unconscious and he had to carry him back. This loss of face was too great, so it would be strange if he wasn't angry. After the Holy Spring sect left, the excitement died down. The various sect heads walked over and bid farewell to Ma Yinting with a smile. However, just as Qin Haran walked to the door, Jun Changshao said, "Alliance head Qin, after some time, my Iron Bones sect will also go to Haoqi's sect to spar." Qin Haran said indifferently, "This Qin will be waiting." After he left with the various sect heads, Xie Guanquan walked over and cupped his fists towards Elder Ma. Then, he shook his head and said, "Sect head Jun, you first set a 1-year appointment with the Holy Spring sect, then set a battle appointment with Haoqi sect. Aren't you making enemies everywhere?" Jun Changshao said, "City Lord Xie, do you think my Iron Bones sect can still get along peacefully with the 100 Sect Alliance and Alliance head Qin?" "No." Xie Guanquan said. From the moment this brat called Qin Haran a dog, he knew that both sides had completely fallen out. The next time they met in the wild, if they didn't fight, they would be letting down the bitter hatred between them. Jun Changshao shrugged and said, "Since we are enemies, why not set a battle appointment and let everyone know?" Hearing this, Xie Guanquan was enlightened. He immediately raised his thumb and praised, "Sect head Jun's move is brilliant, this Xie admires. As long as the news of the battle appointment with Alliance head Qin spread to the Jianghu, no matter if it was Haoqi sect or the Alliance members, no one would be able to find trouble with Iron Bones sect directly. Otherwise, they would be criticized." This was a good plan. However, Xie Guanquan also knew that once the battle was set, they would be able to avoid being disturbed by the alliance. But sooner or later, they would have to accept the battle. Would sect leader Jun and his Iron Bones sect be able to defeat the Six Streams Vast Qi sect? P.S. Please vote. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.